It's loading. Let me find Ty. Ty, I'm making you the host. Okay, so we are on YouTube.
Shall we get started?
Yeah. Do you want me to start it or?
All right, so let's just give a moment for folks to enter into the room.
And Ty, just as a reminder, while people are coming in, Commissioner Orpanella Segura is an excused absence for tonight.
Got it. Thank you. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the County of Los Angeles Citizen Redistricting Commission Special Public Meeting. Today is October 28, 2021, and the time is 6:33 p.m. We will now call the special meeting to order. As a reminder to the public, this public meeting is being recorded and live streamed to youtube.com/LA County Redistricting. The link to the recording will also be posted and accessible through the Los Angeles County Redistricting website. If at any time any members of the public has any technical difficulties, please put your issue in the Q&A and we will try to resolve it. I will now take the roll. As a reminder, commissioner names will be called in a rotating alphabetical order by last name. Commissioners, please be prepared to unmute your mic and respond when your name is called. Commissioner Saida Soto? I believe not present. Commissioner Brian Stetcher?
Present.
Commissioner John Vento? I believe not present. Oh, I see Commissioner Vento. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Present.
Co-Chair Williams?
Present.
Commissioner Dorina Wong?
Present.
Commissioner Jean Franklin?
Present.
Commissioner David Holtzman?
Present.
Commissioner Mary Kenny?
Present.
Co-Chair Daniel Maeda?
Present.
Commissioner Mark Mendoza?
Present.
Commissioner Apolonio Morales?
Present.
Commissioner Nelson Obregon?
Present.
Commissioner Priscilla Orpanella Segura? Excused. And Commissioner Hyla Soto?
Present.
Thank you. I'll now turn the agenda over to Co-Chair Williams.
Thank you, Ty. Approval of the agenda. There are no changes or additions to the agenda, so the agenda is approved. So there are no public comments at this meeting. But you can, no general public comments at this meeting. Thank you. But Ty, can you provide the information on how to provide oral comments on other agenda items, please?
Of course. If any members of the public are interested in making a live public comment, you may submit in the Q&A your name, your affiliated organizations, if any, and the agenda item you would like to make a public comment on. And I do want to reiterate, it's important to put which agenda item you would like to make a public comment on because we do have a few on tonight's agenda. When you are called to make your public comment, you will be prompted to unmute your mic, or you will be able to unmute your mic. And if you're comfortable, you may share your video. If you are participating via phone, press *9 to raise your hand. When once called upon, press *6 to unmute and speak. Each person will have one opportunity to speak for 1 minute per discussion or agenda item. And when you begin making your comment, please share your name and any affiliation you may have. Additional written public comments, including public comments for specific communities of interest or on submitted maps, can be submitted to the public comment form you can find in the chat or on the CRC website as well.
We are now to take up consent items, the approval of the minutes for the October 20th, 2021 minutes meeting. Are Are there any corrections, comments, questions about the draft minutes that were previously circulated for the October 20th meeting? I see none. If that's the case, can I have a motion to approve those minutes as
Move
circulated?
for approval.
Commissioner Mendoza moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Wong seconded. Ty, go ahead and take roll, please.
Commissioners, please be prepared to unmute your mic and respond when your name is called. I will now take roll call. Commissioner Brian Stetcher,
Aye.
Commissioner John Bento, Commissioner Bento,
Maybe come back to him and move on.
Co-Chair Carolyn Williams,
Yes, approved.
Commissioner Dorina Wong,
Approved.
Commissioner Jean Franklin,
Yes.
Commissioner David Holtzman,
I'm gonna abstain. I didn't have a good review of it.
Commissioner Mary Kenny,
Approved.
Co-Chair Daniel Maeda,
Aye.
Commissioner Mark Mendoza,
Aye.
Commissioner Apolonio Morales,
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson Obregon,
Yes.
Commissioner Haile Soto,
Yes.
and I believe Commissioner Saider Soto is still not present. Coming back to Commissioner John Bento.
Yes.
Great. Motion passes.
Thank you. First action item is 5A, continuation of the discussion of the maps submitted by the public as well as the commissioners. I think at this point, I'll call on, I don't know whether Gayla or Preeti are going to discuss the score card for us to review as a tool for analyzing the maps that have been submitted.
Yeah. We listened to the feedback that the commissioners and the public gave on the evaluation model that ArcBridge was developing. And I worked with ArcBridge this morning to develop a different format, which is more of a scorecard. And I just want to go through what's in it in a couple of slides, and then I'll open up the full scorecard. The one field that ArcBridge hasn't filled out is we feel they should probably provide the same information for the current supersorial districts, because you want to make sure your options are improvements over the current situation. But on the spreadsheet, you'll see the total population as both the maximum number and the denominator, what the CVAP is. This column on maximum deviation, this is sort of a pass-fail. It has to be at least 10, it can't be more than 10%. The ESRI software won't allow you to submit if it's greater than that. So I think it's just one of those things which it's information where you can see the numbers. If it's a smaller number, there's less deviation, but anything under 10% is still considered within a reasonable framework. You know that ArcBridge presented the Polsby-Popper compactness score. And when I talked to them, I wanted greater clarity on how they were evaluating this. And the most fact-based way to do this is to look at the number of supervisorial districts where the compactness score is greater than 0.20. So the maximum number could be 5. And underneath it, you'll see examples where 2 of the 5 supervisorial districts might have had a score greater than 0.2, some cases only 1. So again, it allows you to sort of look at compactness. If there's a problem with, 4 or 5, that's probably a bigger issue. It means they're more scattered.
Is a higher number better or a lower number better?
Well, I believe a lower number is better. Okay, if you want the supervisorial districts, we will confirm that when Pretty weighs in, but my understanding was that it's better, but let's confirm that.
Okay, so Gayla, just real quick, like a 1, 2 is okay, but like a 5 is not.
That means that they all had trouble with being compacted.
Got it. Thank you.
The 0.2, you want it to be under 0.2. We then asked them to look at, and I'm sorry, it's cut off, the majority minority districts. So the one column will be based on total population. The maximum would be 5. And the numbers underneath are just tell you that there were 3 or 2 or 1 or 4 subsoil districts that had, a majority minority district. Then the second column, it's based on CVAP. So you can then begin to compare those two columns. Again, just giving you the counts. Any questions on this one before I go on to the next?
Okay, can I ask you a question, Gayla?
Sure.
Okay. So for clarification, when somebody says a majority minority district, what language are we using to define what is a majority minority?
Now, Pretty is online. Pretty, was 50% your cutoff?
Yes, for minority district, it has to be greater than 50%. Even if it's like 50.7%, it's included.
Okay, so like we say it's a 50% Latino district, 49% minority district. That's what I'm just trying to clarify.
In Los Angeles County, the only minority is Latino. And so that is the minority majority district is going to be a Latino district.
Well, just to be clear,
Majority.
Only minority group with a large enough number to
Correct.
probably meet the threshold is Latino.
correct.
Yeah, it's a large enough number.
Okay. And I see also Commissioner Holtzman's name up and then, or hand up, and then I want to go on to the next columns.
All right, questions so far. Shouldn't the denominator for CVAP be the 2019 population?
That is what Pretty said last night for consistency from the American Community Survey. Pretty, could you
But those
confirm?
two populations. Yeah, so total population. All right. Oh, I see. So CVAP is the number of CVAP. I don't understand. So why is there a separate row for denominator?
Because in some cases, when you go through, the maximum is going to vary versus what the denominator is. So I did that because under the Polsby-Popper, you have the greater than 0.2 and the denominator is 5 in terms of the largest number you could have.
Okay, so whatever.
Okay.
All right, so maximum and denominator confuse things there, if you ask me, for population and CVAP.
We can make some modifications to that.
I'll take that out. Other question is, why are we scoring deviation from population? We know what the acceptable range of deviation is. And in baseball, if you throw a strike anywhere in the acceptable range, it's a strike. By scoring this deviation, you're essentially shrinking the strike zone, and we have no authority to shrink the strike zone.
Commissioner Holtzman, can I
So,
interrupt you for a
Commissioner
second? Can I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
So as Gayla had mentioned, you just need to, it's pass fail. If you are submitted a map, then you are within the 10%, you're okay. Some people perhaps might want to have it even, to think that makes a difference between two different maps. Other people may say it doesn't matter as long as it's within
Okay,
the,
it's so confusing.
no one's scoring it. These
I
aren't
see.
scores.
Yeah, I see what look like scores under the.
So those are the
by SDs, by current SDs, which is kind of weird to me. And then there's numbers going up to 10, but we only have 5 SDs. I'm sorry, this is very confusing. But my main question is why do you want us to use a scorecard for what's supposed to be a holistic process when you've heard a lot of people say we don't want a whole
Commissioner Holtzman, please stop. We are looking at a tool for possible evaluation. If you don't find it useful, don't use it.
I think we're wasting time.
Please go on
with this.
Commissioner Kenny.
Very briefly, I would like to leave the maximum deviation in because as we refine these maps and revise them, it shows you what your cushion is because you can go up to 10%. So you could take any given map and move the boundaries around and go up to 10%. So it shows you what your ability is to move the boundaries around. I'm just commenting. I'm not really asking for a response to that, but I do find it useful.
I think the other thing to keep in mind with this also is we have received 2 maps that did not use the ESRI software. So again, it's just something for us to be aware of, and we're just reporting the numbers. And I guess we could restate this as 8.92% if you're having trouble in reading the decimal points. This would be 2.17%. Priti, can you confirm on the Polsby Popper compactness that it's better if there are fewer supervisorial districts that have greater than 0.2? You are on mute, Priti.
The Polsby Popper test is a test for compactness, the greater the number. So if you have a 0.5, that is better. So, but it's a pretty strict test, and that is why we put the threshold of greater than 0.2. So the lower the number, that means the shape is not compact. The greater the number, so it's always between 0 and 1. The greater the number, that means it's more compact.
Okay, so just for clarification, all we have done in this column is you counted the number of supervisorial districts in the map that had a compactness score that was greater than 0.2.
That's correct.
So in this case, the greater the number of supervisorial districts, the better.
Yes.
So having 3 would be better than having 1. Okay, so I just want to be sure we're clear on that, and I can add that to notes as we go forward. I don't know the exact order, if it's Commissioner Wong first, followed by.
Yep. So we have Commissioner Wong, then Commissioner Franklin.
Okay.
Yes,
By
I
the
just
way,
want
more columns. Keep that in mind.
I just want to note that I think we had discussed about, using the scorecard. So I mean, I find it personally useful, and people can use it individually as much as they want. But let's just, if we can just quickly go through, what the scorecard is, and I think it's useful for comparison. I'd like to just do that and, not try to stop and argue against it or not.
Thank you, Commissioner Franklin.
Yes, just one question. On the left-hand side for maps and maximum, under current SDs, are these, the numbers, are they numbered by the maps that were scored? I see 1 through 10, or is there more columns?
Are you talking about this column here?
Yes.
I just cut the table for the first 10 maps. You're going to see the full spreadsheet for the 27 maps.
Okay, that answers it. Thank you.
So there's one more question, and then let me go on to the next columns.
It's not so much question as point of order, Mr. Chair. I see nothing on the agenda about discussing a scorecard today. We're supposed to be discussing maps. I think this entire discussion is out of order, and I ask that you please rule on that.
I rule that it is an appropriate way to look at the maps, to consider the extent to which the maps that we're going to consider are compact, are what the CVAP is, et cetera. It's just a tool. We're going to get to the maps, but we need to look at, some folks wanted to have some kind of a shorthand like this, and that's what we're doing. We're going over the shorthand.
So let me go on to the next columns. The next columns you're going to see is the number of CSAs. And as you know, we have 88 cities. 87 of them are treated as a single city. Los Angeles City is large, 4 million people. It's broken into more CSAs, and there are over 100 unincorporated areas. So the maximum number is 348. And underneath that, all is reported is the number of CSAs that were split. We've also given you a percentage, so you know the percentage out of all of them that were split. The next column also has to do with splits, and I'm going to provide a suggestion here, and it has to do with neighborhood councils. When the city of Los Angeles did their city charter reform back at the turn of this century, it was around 1999, 2000, they created these neighborhood councils. And the neighborhood councils do not necessarily follow the CSAs. Most of the city is covered by the 99 neighborhood councils. There's some areas like Pacific Palisades, though, however, who chose not to have a neighborhood council and to use their homeowners association. I would suggest that we not worry about the neighborhood councils at this point, that you focus on the CSAs. And then later in November, when you begin to hone your maps, we could have ArcBridge do a check to see, are there neighborhood councils that are split? Have we gotten public comment from them that they would like not to be split? And can we make those adjustments and it won't affect our deviation? The classic example we've heard time and time again was the West Side Neighborhood Council, who said we're split north and south. We'd rather be with the north if there's a choice. So I would just suggest we collect this number and you don't look at it till the end. Again, we give you the percentages that are split. Now the COI, Commissioner Kenny has raised this time and time again. You might have a really good map that fits one COI, but the models are different. And so we need to be sensitive to that. So what these columns do is basically tell you how close the fit is. And I used percent ranges. So if the numbers were greater, if they're 40% or less, this should be a 49. I've corrected it on the Excel spreadsheet. We marked it as green, that they were a very close fit. If it was in the 50% range, yellow, and then if it's greater than 60%, it's marked red. Again, it's just a reference point. You're going to see some maps that all three were good fits. You're going to see some maps later where they're a really good fit on one of the models and maybe not on the others. Any questions on this one before I go on? Questions of clarification?
We have a hand for Commissioner Holtzman.
Another point of order, basically. You're suggesting that we ignore splits in neighborhood councils for a time. I think that's not an appropriate suggestion. And I asked the chair to rule that we need a vote if we're actually going to adopt that as a policy.
It's just a suggestion, and you can look at the whole thing and decide how you want to proceed. This is just a tool. Okay.
I have nothing to add to that.
But wasn't the point that it was going to be omitted temporarily, but could be used later?
Yeah. I'm just saying, I think you have bigger issues that you need to deal with your maps, and this can be a fine tuning you look at later. We've also received public input on that as well. That they felt the neighborhood councils was sort of dominating the picture too much in terms of some of the other issues around city boundaries and unincorporated boundaries. So in totality, I'm going to open up the Excel spreadsheet. There were 27 of these maps analyzed. You're going to see all of these columns. So why don't I close this and open the spreadsheet? And Pretty, do you have anything you want to add that I haven't covered on this?
I think you've covered it well, Gayla.
Okay. And for some reason, my Excel spreadsheet just closed on this. Let me find it again. I'm opening it up again. That is not it. It's not showing up.
I can open it if you would like.
I made some.
I could share mine
corrections.
temporarily if you want.
I've got it now. Okay, so this is the whole spreadsheet. We have posted it. I mean, literally, ArcBridge finished this about 10 minutes before our meeting. So Ty has posted it on our website. I don't know, Ty, if you can put in the chat box for the public. They have done most of the 27 maps. And this can be a work in progress as we go forward. But I wanted to suggest this simply not an evaluation tool, but just a scorecard of here are the numbers.
So I noticed that the People's Block and the Malta map has been included, correct? Because yeah, I see 12 and 20. So thank you.
And also, Pretty, do you want to give an update? Because when I talked to you earlier today, you said you had been working on importing both the MALDEF and the People's Block maps.
Sure. Gila, I sent you a PowerPoint also, which I have prepared for, let me share that. Give me a minute.
Did you just send it before the meeting?
I sent it just about when I sent the the spreadsheet. Bear with me. Let me try to share this. Okay, I can share.
While she's pulling that up, I want to thank Ty. It looks like Ty's posted the PowerPoint on the chat page for the public, and we will be adding it to our website.
If you would like, I can quickly walk over the two plans that we processed.
Go ahead. I mean, it's important background, although I see Commissioner Stetcher's head shaking no. I think they should see this. There's a lot of requests, and then we'll need to take questions of clarification and public comment.
Sure. This is the total population, VAP, and citizen voting age population that was requested. So we have the details here for you, and that is a part of this PowerPoint. So I think that will be useful for you in your future and your plan analysis. This is MALDEF. We were able to use the block level data and create it. And here the deviation for MALDEF is 3.61. So it fits within the pass-fail criteria. And these are the total populations for each district. And here we have the data for all 5 districts. And if you look, we have the total population, and we have the citizen voting age population, as well as the percentages. So you can see that in MALDEF, we have a Latino minority majority district with 61.0 total population, but also looking at CVAP, it is a minority majority district. So you can look at District 2, and this one is, if you look at total population only, but if you look at CVAP, it is not. And then if you look at District 3, it's a total population majority minority, and it's also with the CVAP. So they have 2 minority majority districts, which are Latino majority. So this detailed information is there for your analysis. And then the other one that we processed, and I think People's Block was 23, we have imported the plan here, and this is the total population deviation, and the maximum deviation for this one is 7.23%. And this is the detailed data that we have for it. So we have District 1, we have District 2, where it is, if you look at total population, but when you look at CVAP, it is not. And so this one is not, but here, this one would be considered a minority majority district. So we have District 4 and District 1. So 2 districts are minority majority by both total population as well as CVAP population. And we were beginning to look at the current districts. The maximum deviation is 4.36, and it does have a minority majority district. And we are still putting together the data for it. So we would have the PowerPoint updated soon after. So pretty soon.
Preeti,
So
we have a hand from Commissioner Kenny.
Sure.
And also, let me just add a point of clarification on some of these before we go into the questions. We got a Twitter question that Catalina Island was attached to Subsoil District 3. Now, you as commissioners know it has to have ferry service for it to be attached. So you can make adjustments to these maps to become an alignment and decide whether or not you'd attach it to Long Beach or San Pedro. So I wouldn't get too worried about those little details. Look at the maps conceptually. Commissioner Kenny now.
Yes, for the benefit of perhaps the most ignorant member of the commission, the acronyms used on these ethnic allocations are somewhat confusing to me, and I've never seen a definition of, I mean, I can guess, I mean, no one's ever told me what they mean, but I can guess that L is Latino and W is white and B is black. But then you get down to some of the others, and I really can't guess. I can't be sure that I can guess correctly. So could you please give us a glossary or something about what the meaning is of the different ethnic categories that you're using? Because the ones you just used on that PowerPoint are different than the ones on the mapping software.
Yes, I can provide you with a glossary. I am using the data which was done at the block level, and there the person who put the data together may have named them differently, but L is Latino, white, black, and then we have, yeah, I'll provide you with a glossary, a description of what those fields names are. But
yes,
basically,
and I need one for the categories on the Esri software, because I'm guessing on some of those as well. Thank you.
And I can answer that question very quickly, Commissioner Kenny, as well as any members of the public who are interested. The data dictionary is available to download on the website, and on the Esri software itself, you can hover your cursor over any of the data variables, and it should pop up what the variable names are.
To add to what Ty said, if you go in the application, you click on the demographics tab, and when you click on any variable, there is a description there as well.
Are there any other questions for clarification from the commission? Should we move to public comment on this before we begin to do what we said we were going to do, which is to each come with the three maps of our top three maps? Seeing no objections, let's go ahead and do that. Ty, are there public comments for this item?
Yes, we have quite a few. So just as a reminder for members of the public, if you are interested in making a public comment on a specific agenda item, we ask that you put into the Q&A your name and the specific agenda item you would like to make a public comment on. You will have one opportunity to make one public comment per agenda item for 1 minute. And if you are calling in, press *9 to raise your hand, and once called upon, press *6 to unmute and speak. So give me a moment as I bring up the timer. So first on our list is Stuart Waldman. Stuart, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you are comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment. So Stuart, whenever you are ready, please unmute yourself.
Sorry, little technical difficulty there. Stuart Waldman, representing the San Fernando Valley Redistricting Coalition. I want to thank you all for the opportunity to speak. Listening to your comments last night, we changed a map, one of our maps 008 to 029. That map would include 2 Latino CVAP seats above 50%. It includes African-American seat. It keeps Long Beach whole. It keeps the Tri-Cities or the whole, I think, and it also keeps the San Fernando Valley whole, as well as the Las Virgenes Malibu COG whole as well. We appreciate that you are looking at maps, trying to evaluate them. And we're hopeful that as you look at maps, you take pieces from those maps that you do like and try and connect them with other pieces that you like from other maps. There's no perfect map there yet. Although I would say our maps look pretty darn good, so you can just adopt them. But thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you, Stuart. Next, we have Brianne Logasa. Brianne, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hi there. Good evening, members of the LA County Citizen Redistricting Committee. My name is Brianne Logasa, and I'm a management analyst with the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments, or SGV-COG. The SGV-COG was asked to provide a public comment on behalf of our various member cities, including the cities of Azusa, Claremont, Glendora, Irwindale, La Puente, La Verne, Monrovia, Rosemead, San Dimas, San Gabriel, South Pasadena, Temple City, Walnut, and West Covina. These cities support district maps and communities of interest that keep the San Gabriel Valley together. The SGV-COG's Executive Committee will be considering the formation of a working group to develop recommendations for supervisorial LA County redistricting maps that best represent the interests of the San Gabriel Valley. So please look forward to these recommendations in the coming weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Brianne. Next, we have Jacqueline Iyer. Jacqueline, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Jacqueline Eyre. I want to express my appreciation for the draft maps that have been prepared. They showed that people heard the concerns of the residents of the Antelope Valley, and for that I'm very grateful. These maps will be discussed at the next meeting of the Acton Town Council, and it is my hope that our community will provide more substantive feedback. I do want to point out also that I am not daunted by the fact that some of these maps have split our community into two. We have often been, right now we're represented by 2 different congressmen, and in the past we have been represented by 2 different state senators, and that has actually been very beneficial for us because it amplified our voice. And we had 2 senators. We had some public facility difficulties that we needed resolution at the state level, and because we had 2 state senators advocating on our behalf, our message was strengthened and the problem was resolved quickly. So anyway, thank you very much. And it's my hope the Acton Town Council will have more formal comments soon.
Ty, can I ask a question to Jacqueline, please?
Of course.
Jacqueline, are you there?
Yes, I am.
I'm sorry, where are you from again?
The community of Acton.
Got it. Okay. Thank you, Jacqueline. Appreciate your
feedback. Thank you very
feedback.
much.
All right, thank you, Jacqueline. Next, we have Jessica Panduro. Jessica, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Sorry. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Jessica Panduro. I'm an East Side resident. I am here today to ask that as we move forward with maps, to please maintain the East Side in Supervisorial District 1. The People's Block map achieves that, and I'm in full support of it. These vibrant communities are composed primarily of essential workers, and COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated pre-existing structural inequities. As we ambition a just recovery for the east side of LA, equitable representation of our communities will be critical. Representatives that prioritize the community's needs will be essential. Keeping the east side with supervisorial District 1 will allow us to continue the work in fighting for issues that are impacting the community due to the pandemic. And again, I ask that please keep the east side and supervisorial District 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Next, we have Sandra Guzman. Sandra, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay. My name is Sandra Guzman, and I am a stakeholder of Los Angeles County and District 1. I am here today to urge the Commission to keep the historic Eastside communities of unincorporated East Los Angeles, Boyle Heights, City Terrace, El Sereno, and Lincoln Heights together in Supervisorial District 1. It is important that we keep these communities as they are, and the People's Block Map achieves this, which is why I am in full support of their map. The Eastside communities have shared a cultural history and legacy that make them a larger community of interest and should remain together in District 1. This will allow us to continue the work and fight for issues that are impacting this community like most recently COVID. COVID has caused so much loss of life and has financially impacted families in our communities in ways that will far outlast the virus, which is why we must remain together to fight for the resources we need in our communities. I support the adoption of the People's Block Map in order to keep the East Side communities in SD1. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Next, we have Faraz Akil. Faraz, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Faraz Akil, and I'm a resident of District 4, and I'm the creator of OP map number 15. What my intention was in making a regional map, or a pie map as it's been nicknamed, was to create compacted districts that LA County residents would be very familiar with already. For my districts, I created District 1, San Gabriel Valley, District 2, the South Bay, District 3, West Side, West LA, and most of San Fernando Valley. I really try my best to keep it as compacted. District 4, the Gateway Cities region, and District 5, the High Desert Antelope Valley, and the remaining east side of San Fernando Valley. Basically, I'm from the District 4, and currently my supervisor district is Snake Flag District that stretches from Diamond Bar all the way to the Marina Del Rey area. So I kept it compacted. Thank you.
Thank you, Faraz. Next, we have Intercity Struggle. Intercity Struggle, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hi, this is Erica.
Sorry, I didn't rename myself in when I logged in, but so hello, my name is Erica Jimenez. I live in Boyle Heights today, and I'm calling today that you keep the East Side in Supervisor District 1. The People's Bloc achieves that, and I am in full support of their map. So the commissioners should consider the unique history of the East Side of Los Angeles and to maintain it with Supervisor District 1. The East Side of Los Angeles is connected via vital cultural commonalities and immigrant roots. The East Side communities has also experienced racial injustice and has been a catalyst for social movement. We must ensure that we continue to protect our working class communities and represent them as best we can. And I believe that the People's Bloc does that. So yes, that is all. I would like to share that I'm in favor of the People's Bloc today. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Erica. Next we have Christian Cardenas. Christian, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hello. Okay, cool. Sorry, I'm here now. Hi, my name is Christian Cardenas. I am a lifelong resident of Lincoln Heights. I'm just here today to please urge you to keep the East Side in Supervisor District 1. The People's Bloc map achieves that, and I'm full support of that map. And just the East Side is the communities of unincorporated East LA, City Terrace, Boyle Heights, El Sereno, and Lincoln Heights. We all have a shared cultural history and legacy that makes them a larger community of interest that we should remain together with the rest of the current SD1. So please leave the East Side as it is in SD1. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Christian. Next, we have Roberto Nunez. Roberto, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute to make your public comment. Whenever you are ready, Roberto, please unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rem Nunez, and I work for Alma Family Services. Proud to do so over in Boyle Heights and the surrounding areas. First and foremost, I just want to thank you all for your time. I can only imagine the countless hours and the energy you've all invested in such a critical and vital thing for all residents of LA County. So just want to say thank you on behalf of my family and myself. Just want to here to promote the People's Bloc. We definitely want to preserve the services, the network of services that have been created for such a crucial time for youth. Many of you are probably aware of the environmental injustices that have taken place over on the East Side in the Boyle Heights area, and we worked hard for advocacy and support. We want to make sure that the networks of care can remain together, can remain strong. We've worked really hard, and as you know, this is definitely one of the most lower socioeconomic areas in the community, so we want to make sure that we can support them and build on everything that we've done so far. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rem. Next, we have Michelle Aranda-Cos. Michelle, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you are comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute to make your public comment. Michelle, whenever you're ready, please unmute yourself.
Dear Los Angeles County Redistricting Committee, my name is Michelle Aranda-Cos, and I'm a stakeholder of Los Angeles County in Supervisor District 1. I am in full support of the People's Bloc map. I urge the Commission to keep the historic East Side communities of unincorporated East Los Angeles, Boyle Heights, City Terrace, and El Sereno and Lincoln Heights together in their current Supervisor District 1. It is important to ensure that these communities remain unified in Supervisor District 1 and that they not be broken up and placed into separate districts. The People's Bloc map achieves this, and I'm in full support of their map. As we attempt to recover from the horrific pandemic and its effects on our community, we must ensure that the East Side of Los Angeles has equitable representation of our communities. Keeping the East Side within Supervisory District 1 will allow us to continue the work in fighting for issues that are impacting the community due to the pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Next, we have Isabel Gonzalez. Isabel, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Hi, my name is Isabel Gonzalez, and for the past 10 years, I've formed deep roots as an educator and community ally with Eastside students and families. I call this afternoon to support keeping the Eastside in Supervisorial District 1. The People's Block map achieves that, and I'm in full support of the adoption of their map. I ask that the commission take into consideration the distinctive history of the East Side of Los Angeles and how these communities share united culture, a similar immigrant background, and a legacy of united struggle. These factors have led East Side communities to unite and together respond to racial injustice and lead a progressive social movement that champions equity for all. The East Side communities of unincorporated East LA, City Terrace, Boyle Heights, and Serena and Lincoln Heights have a shared culture history that make them a larger community of interest that should remain together with the rest of current Supervisorial District 1. I support the People's Block map. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabel. Next, we have Alejandro Juarez Ugade. Alejandro, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. All right. All right. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Alejandro Juarez, and I work with students and parents in schools in the East Side. I'm here today to ask you that we move forward with the maps and to please maintain the East Side in Supervisional District number 1. The People's Block map achieves that, and I'm in full support of it and ask that you are too. The East Side has a long history of struggle, but also resistance and endurance against racism and many factors, especially right now during the COVID pandemic, where a lot of our communities have been damaged and ravaged by not only COVID itself, but also being pushed out by gentrification, as well as education inequities that have happened. And we ask you to please keep us together for us to keep moving forward and fighting for a true and equitable district and supervisorial district. Thank you very much and have a good night.
Thank you, Alejandro. Next, we have Adele Andrade Stadler. Adele, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Thank you very much. My name is Adele Andrade Stadler, co-chairman Maeda and co-chair Williams and other commissioners. Thank you for all your hard work here today and at the days that have been before. You know, I am a councilwoman and former mayor of the city of Alhambra, and prior to that served 14 years on the Alhambra Unified School District, which encompasses 4 cities: Rosemead, South San Gabriel, Alhambra, and Monterey Park, which represents, I wholeheartedly support the People's Block and Supervisorial 1 to be as part of Alhambra. We have 52% Asian and 36.1% Latino. 72.1% of our residents speak a language other than English. As you can see, we have more in common with the networks of care with SD1. I ask you to please take a look at our 7.4 square miles and include the People's Block. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adele. Next, we have Mary Fisher. Mary, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hi, my name's Mary Fisher. I live in District 1 and I'm a member of East Area Progressive Democrats. We service the Northeast LA area and we feel strongly that the People's Block map is the right map for the commission to consider and to recommend. It is such a cohesive district that works together so well, and the People's Block, all the people involved in that have put in such long effort to make it so equitable and have shared interests. And here in Northeast LA, as I mentioned, I'm in Highland Park, but all these communities here near me, Silver Lake, Eagle Rock, Lasso Park, El Sereno, Boyle Heights, we have a growing influential political voice here in Northeast LA, you know, and we are thankful to Hilda Solis for her guidance. Anyway, I strongly support the People's Block District 1 map. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Next, we have Diego Rodriguez. Diego, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Good evening. My name is Diego Rodriguez, and I am the Chief Operating Officer of Alma Family Services. I would like to first thank the commissioners for investing their time, talents, and critical planning skills on this effort. I'm calling in full support of the map submitted by the People's Block. The People's Block is comprised by many organizations across the county of Los Angeles, organizations they are not only familiar with, but they are integral members of our communities. The resources they provide in their ongoing work with community stakeholders have given them a keen sense of the neighborhood needs. The People's Block's proposed map ensures equitable representation for our marginalized communities. For 45 years, Alma has been part of countywide efforts working side by side with stakeholders in many of the communities within the People's Block map. Please, I urge you to advance the People's Block map and ultimately adopt it as a final proposed map. Thank you.
Thank you, Diego. Next, we have Henry Fung. Henry, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Henry Fung, and my comments are that my top 3 maps, other than my own, which I did, was number 5. But I do like Commissioner Stetcher's map, 18, 26, and 10. Those are the maps that I put as my top 3. I think it very strongly that we should not split up the San Gabriel Valley into more than 2 pieces. I think it's understandable if the San Fernando Valley, San Gabriel Valley have to be split in 2 due to VRA concerns or due to population, just making it fit within the 2 million. But a map like the People's Block, unfortunately, splits the San Gabriel Valley into 3 pieces. And I don't see Pomona and Long Beach having much to do in common with each other. And I think that actually it kind of isolates the historically Latino community of Pomona. So I would strongly suggest looking at the top 3 maps that I selected, and also the commissioners be very careful not to split up COIs into more than 2 pieces. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. Next, we have Carlos Leon. Carlos, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
No, I'm sorry. It took a second for me to come back. Good evening, commissioners. Thank you all for the work that you're doing. My name is Carlos Leon. I grew up and currently work in South Central LA, which is in District 2. I am raising my children in District 2 as well. I pretty much want to tell you that we're all in full support of the People's Block map. We've seen and continue to see Black erasure throughout the county as consequences of gentrification, economic disinvestment, and racist policies that we see today. I really want to urge you to continue supporting our Black and Brown community that's been disinvested, especially as we go through this recovery post-pandemic. Keeping South Central LA together is crucial for the interests of the community right now. Please adopt the People's Block. We've heard it for so many people at this point. I hope that there is no question about the need for it in order to equitably support our community in a dignified way. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Carlos. Next, we have Thomas Carey. Thomas, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hi, thank you, commissioners. My name is Tom Carey. I'm from the Church of the Epiphany in Lincoln Heights, and I want to thank you for your hard work. I'm here to speak in support of the People's Block. Much has been said in the other comments, so I won't repeat those. I just want to say that having lived and worked in Lincoln Heights and on the East Side over the last 12 years, that I have been transformed by the vibrancy of this community. It is the foundation of what makes Los Angeles a wonderful place to live. I think the integrity of Supervisory District 1 is essential. So I'm just here to, number one, thank you and to urge you to maintain the People's Block. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you, Thomas. Next, we have Farrell Mitchell. Farrell, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for your time. I'm calling on behalf of the Community Action League here in District 5. And I too would like to uplift the People's Block. We've worked very hard on this grant and on this map, and we would like to most definitely have it considered. You heard our voices loud and clear. There are a lot of community organizations and a lot of people who have worked seriously hard on this map. So we would like to uplift the People's Block map. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Jackie Contreras. Jackie, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Jackie, and I am a resident of East LA, but have actually worked in South LA over these past few years, which is located in District 2. I want to urge the commission to consider the People's Block map as it keeps South LA community whole. South LA shares a rich history of Black and Brown residents that share mutual interests in our youth, equitable education, our access to culturally competent resources, and access to economic opportunities for our community. Keeping South LA together is crucial for these interests to be acknowledged and elevated during this post-pandemic recovery era. This map allows for 2 Latinx majority districts, being District 1 and District 4, where both East LA and Southeast LA are kept whole. Once again, I urge the commissioners to consider the People's Block map so communities of color all across the county can have a strong political voice as we recover in an equitable and dignified way. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Next, we have Henry Perez. Henry, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute to make your public comment. Whenever you are ready, Henry, please unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. Yeah, hello, my name is Henry Perez, and I'm a resident of unincorporated East Los Angeles. I'm also the Associate Director of Inner City Struggle, which is a organization that has been organizing youth and families in the east side of Los Angeles for over 27 years. I'm calling to ask the commissioners to please support the People's Block map. It is important that the east side communities stay together and stay in Supervisorial District 1. We do not support any map that tries to move our communities of the east side to other districts and other regions. Our community is a high-need community, and moving us to other districts would disrupt the social networks in our communities during this important time of COVID relief. The People's Block map was developed by over a dozen of organizations, and I hope that you support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. Next, we have Cherokee Lar Odea. Cherokee, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hello, my name is Cherokee Laro Day. I'm fourth generation Chatsworth Lake Manor, unincorporated Los Angeles County, the 5th district. We have spent generations, decades building relationships with the 5th district very successfully. It would completely disrupt the entire identity of our community, removing us from the 5th district. We are in full support of map 10 that keeps us within our district. We have many aspects of our community that would be completely disrupted by this removal. If you can please understand, my family started the Citizens Committee back in the 1960s. We have a rural town council. We just were awarded a CAL FIRE grant for fire prevention in our area. And we've been working with Catherine Barger and also our Senator Henry Stern. So if the committee could please consider our thoughts on our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Louisa Alog. Louisa, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you are comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment. Louisa, whenever you are ready, please unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Louise Oyage. I'm a former Malta Census Director back in 2000. I'm also a proud homeowner in the lovely city of Whittier. I've been monitoring the supervisorial maps since 2000, actually before that too. I was heavily involved in 2001 and the 2011 redistricting efforts. I support the MALDEF map as well as the People's map, and I support them because we need to create 2 Latino districts. The time has come, and we need to explore this commission for just maps to include the Latino community. As you know, we have been waiting, the Latino community has been waiting way too long, and to wait another 10 years is not good enough for us. Let's not forget what happened in 1991. Latinos had to sue the county to get a seat at the table, and I hope we don't have to sue them again. The numbers don't lie, so do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Louisa. Next, we have Valerie Moroshige. Valerie, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you are comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hello, my name is Valerie Moroshige. Thank you so much for being so transparent during this process and allowing us to all see these different maps at the hub that you have. I just wanted to say, with all these different draft maps that are floating around now at the other levels, I'm in the Hollywood Hills, and I'm being put with so many different communities. And so I just wanted to say, at least at this county level, I would like to be grouped with Hollywood proper and East Hollywood, instead of my congressional district, which goes northwest to Calabasas, or my Senate district, which goes from Tujunga to Monrovia, and my assembly district, which goes from Beverly Hills, West Hollywood, and Universal City. So please do your best to keep my community compact and not so geographically flung out as in my other districts. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Next, we have James Toma. James, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment. James, whenever you're ready, please unmute yourself.
I apologize. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you all, commissioners. I know it's a tremendous amount of work that you're putting in here. My name is James Toma. I'm a resident of West Covina in District 1. I'm a former mayor, and I want to speak in favor of map 12, which is the People's Block map. And I just wanted to point out a couple of favorable aspects of that map from my perspective. I think it's important first to note the many diverse community organizations who have come out to support this map and the individuals who've already advocated for the map. I appreciate, secondly, that it keeps most of the communities in the current District 1 intact, and also actually adds our neighboring city, Covina, to West Covina, which I think makes sense from a historical perspective and because we're neighboring cities. It also includes the San Gabriel Valley cities along the I-10 corridor, which I think is a natural transportation corridor, which binds together many of those cities. And lastly, I think that for purposes of continuity and public projects and service delivery, it's helpful to have that continuity. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, James. Next, we have Osvaldo Dominguez. Osvaldo, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you are comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment. Osvaldo, whenever you're ready, please unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Osvaldo Dominguez, and I am a concerned resident of City Terrace. I want to thank the commissioners for your diligent work the last several months to ensure accurate and equitable representation of our community. I am in support of the map submitted by the People's Block. This commission should consider submission of this map as part of your proposal. The organizations that make up People's Block are based within our communities. They provide critical services and understand what our neighbors need. This map represents equity and ensures representation for our historically marginalized communities, which other submitted maps do not. This map keeps East LA together with Northeast, together with SD1 communities. It allows us to better advocate for environmental justice and equity to those most impacted by social and health ills, such as COVID-19. It also helps to align services for communities that most feel the same types of impact. I urge you to support the People's Block map and have is our final proposed map submission.
Thank you. Next, we have John Mendoza. John, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself. If you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
John Mendoza speaking. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is John Mendoza. I live here in the city of Pomona, way on the east side of Los Angeles County. And like the folks on the other side of the county where Boyle Heights, East LA and so forth, we also have environmental problems on this side, which we've been affected for throughout the term of the current supervisor. I just urge you to keep Pomona together, not to break it up. So we could have one strong voice. And I just want to also urge that board members, please take into consideration that when people speak sometimes, there's also maybe political motives behind, having one district or for future people wanting to run for office. That's just my personal opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Next, we have Anna Godoy. Anna, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Sorry, that took a while to set up. But good evening, commissioners. My name is Anna Godoy, and I'm a lifelong resident of LA County. Today, I'm calling to defend the East Side community, which I've had the honor of working with for the past 4 years. Commissioners, I urge you to keep the East Side in Supervisorial District 1, and the map that best does this is a People's Block map. I support this map and encourage you to support it as well. As many folks have shared on the call, the East Side has a lot of rich history that has brought them together over the years. If you do not support the People's Block map, the East Side will not have fair representation and their power will be diluted in a time they most need to be heard and brought together. The road to recovery is a long one, especially for the East Side, who was a hotspot at the start of the year. The East Side deserves to maintain its collective power to continue to fight for resources they need to recover from the pandemic, such as more renter protections and more school funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Next, we have Wade Major. Wade, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you are comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Yes, hi. You can hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I'd like to argue against the People's Block. I think it splits Palos Verdes and it lumps the entire Santa Monica Bay together, which makes no sense whatsoever. We do not share a great deal around the Santa Monica Bay other than the beaches. I would recommend map 10. Map 10 makes geographical sense. It makes demographic sense. It especially puts all the communities of the Council of Governments, the surrounding communities of the Santa Monica Mountains and that sparsely populated area to the west, together with the San Fernando Valley. We are bounded by the 101 freeway. We all suffer many of the same natural disasters. And it keeps us away from the heavily densely populated corridor that starts in Santa Monica and goes downtown. They deserve their own representation. And we have not been well served by being allied with them. So separating that urban corridor from the area to the west of the county makes a great deal of demographic and geographic sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Wade. Co-chairs, I believe there are no others in queue. Would you like to close public comment?
Yes, let's close public comment and then move to the promised exercise of putting forward each of our top 3 maps. Gayla, I think you're going to tally. Okay, I see you got the chart already. I think Commissioner Orpinella Segura, who is excused from tonight, has already provided her choices.
I also received them from Commissioner Mark Mendoza because he was having internet problems and wasn't sure if it would work. And also Commissioner Brian Stetcher. And I was going to suggest that you consider giving me your 3 top. If you have others that are contenders, I can put an X in. And then we can look at what the tallies are and if there are any other patterns. So that was.
To be clear, the 1 mark is for the top 3 and the X is also contenders.
Right. I was getting feedback that people were concerned it'd be hard to narrow to 3. So you get 3 that count, but we'll have X's. We'll take X's if there are a few others that you want to put on the table.
Okay.
And I submitted as sort of an honorable mention, a 4th one.
Gayla, I believe Commissioner Stetcher would like you to enlarge the sheet. And I believe we also have technically a Plan 31 as well.
We do.
And I see a hand from Commissioner Holtzman.
Yes.
Commissioner Holtzman, you're muted.
Hi. Because some of my maps are similar to others, and I don't want the votes to be split between similar maps, I'd like to remove some of my maps from consideration before we start.
Okay. Which ones would you like to remove, Commissioner Holtzman?
Well, I improved map 22 with map 24. So if you would remove map 22, I actually improved that to better align with neighborhood council districts. So we'll take that one out. And then, hang on, I'm looking at the list of the other ones that are here. Here we go, shared plans, everyone. So I think I'm going to give up on the first adaptation of the People's Block I did. So that would be number 20. If you could remove that from consideration as well. And I'm looking for the first time I tried to connect the south part of the county to the north part of the county. Yeah, OP 21, I'd like to remove that one too. But OP 24 I strongly like, and I'll leave the others. All right, thank you.
So
Okay.
I will call the names in rotational order.
Yes, Ty, if you can call on people in a round robin format. And again, at this point, please just provide the numbers of the maps, your top 3. And if you have to have some honorable mentions, you can throw 1 or 2 of those in. And then we'll have a chance to actually discuss them. Commissioner Stetcher, did you have a clarifying or
the
question?
X's on my line don't represent my 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th choice. They were maps that I thought were similar to the ones that I picked. So I don't want people to be encouraged to list 8 choices.
Well, and this notation is at the bottom, Commissioner Stetcher, in terms of which ones you felt were similar.
Got it. Excellent. Okay, Ty.
Okay, so we're going to start with Commissioner John Bento. Commissioner Bento?
Let's come
I'm
back
sorry,
to
can you
these.
hear me?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Go.
I apologize for that. So I'm having a hard time narrowing it down to 3. I'm just letting you know this. So I I'm going to throw this out there. I'm throwing out map 1, map 6, map 12, map 18.
Now, those are more than 3.
Okay. So
give me all the
let's
numbers,
go.
then tell me which ones are your top 3. Go ahead.
Okay. The top 3 are going to be 6, 18. I'm sorry, 6, 12, and 23.
6, 12, and 23.
Right.
So you have 2 runner-ups, which would be map 1 and map 18.
Right. And map 27.
Okay.
Sorry.
Next.
Co-Chair Williams?
Okay, I also have more than 3, but I'll give you my my top 12, 23, 18.
1 second. 12, 23.
18. And I'm gonna put on there 4 and 14.
Are the 4 and 14 runner-ups?
Yeah.
Okay.
Commissioner Dorina Wong?
Yes, so I would like
map number 5, 12, 16, and then my, plus 1 is 23. And right now we're not saying why, right?
Correct.
We're not saying why.
Gayla, she said map 5, not map 4.
I have it in column 5.
Commissioner Jean Franklin?
Is it correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, my top 3 are 4, 10, and 18.
Do you have any runner-ups, Commissioner Franklin?
12.
12?
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Holtzman?
All right. Map 1, please. And map 23, the Maldeath map, please. Map 24, which I would like to note is similar to the People's Block map. If you would put a note about that.
Give me 1 second.
But I changed it a little bit to make it work with the redistricting software.
So please indicate to me, you're saying which map is similar to 12?
24, which is similar to 12.
Okay.
And works with the redistricting software. And then on another runner-up is is 28, is my other map 28, which I think should still be in consideration. Thank you.
Commissioner Mary Kenny?
Are we up to Maeda? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have, I must have
Commissioner Kenny.
It's out of alphabetical order. I apologize, Commissioner Kenny.
Okay, that's fine. 3, 15, and 17, and my runner-ups are and 19.
Co-Chair Maeda?
In this particular instance, I'm a rule follower, so my 3 are number 2, number 19, and number 23.
And I believe Commissioner Mendoza already submitted his, so we will move.
I did, but it may be difficult for some to see. So for the record, my selection was map 14, map 18, map 25, and honorable mention number 23.
Thank you. Commissioner Obregon?
Would Commissioner Apollonio Morales be next?
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Morales.
Thank you. Map 12, map 18, and map 23.
Any honorable mentions?
No.
Commissioner Obregon.
Yeah, hey, map 1, map 15, and map 19.
Any honorable mentions?
17.
And
thank you.
Commissioner Orpanela Segura isn't here, but she submitted last night. Gayla, do you want to reiterate for the record what she submitted?
Yes. Commissioner Orpanela had Orpanela Segura had selected map 8, 12, and 26 with some modifications, which are listed at the bottom. You'll see that she requested that map 8, that Downey be moved to Super Royal District 4, Pasadena with SD5, El Monte with SD1. For map 12, she requested that El Monte and North El Monte be kept together, to add Duarte to Super Royal District 1, and to remove Pico Rivera and Whittier from SD1 into SD4.
Okay. Next, we have Commissioner Hyla Soto.
Yes, thank you. I will pick maps 15,
19 and 27. And runner-ups are 12. And then I'll just throw my map that I submitted or late this afternoon. And that's it.
I believe that's number 30.
30, yes.
Next, we have Commissioner Saito Soto.
Yes, I'd like to explore 30, 23, 12.
I'm sorry,
and
30. I'm sorry,
30, 23, 12, and honorable mention 19 and 27.
And then Commissioner Stetcher, would you like to reiterate your choices?
(15, 18, 23). And I felt that there were many maps that were like map 18, including 10, 14, 17, and 27. And I thought that map 19 was very similar to 15, and map 2 was similar to 23.
Thank you. And that's all the commissioners.
Great. One thing I do want to note is Commissioner Opernel Segura did suggest some modifications on these maps. Of course, it would be a monumental task for us to try to agree on various modifications. We will still have a chance to modify maps if we select them to be put forward for the public hearings. So I would encourage you not to engage in that exercise at this point. I mean, you can say, of course, I like this except for one thing or another. That's fine. But let's not try to figure out if we agree with that particular tweak on these maps. Let's just try to come up with several maps. So just take a moment, if you would, just to observe the breakdown, I guess, if you would, of the selections.
I've just highlighted the ones with higher response rates.
So to be clear, the bottom row, which has numbers, those are only counting the ones that are ones, not X's, correct?
They only count the ones that are ones. So here you would have 6 who picked it as one of their top 3. One person added an honorable mention. This one, 4 commissioners selected it. This one, 5 commissioners plus 1 honorable mention. This one, 7 commissioners plus 2 honorable mentions.
Okay. I think maybe the best way to proceed right now, my suggestion is to go round robin now and have commissioners take some amount of time, a little bit of time to either explain, why they chose what they chose, to advocate for a particular one, or to make an observation about any what we see here on this chart. I'll leave it up to you, but please keep in mind that we need to make progress on this. So please do not take up the full, too much time, but sufficient time to do one of those things would be great if we can go round robin on that.
So we're going to begin with co-chair Carolyn Williams.
Well, in all honesty, I'm out of the country and I was unable to access the ESRI data. So a lot of what I did was some information I had looked at earlier, but I like the idea of keeping San Fernando Valley together. I like the People's Map and MALDEF because of the majority minority districts that were drawn, and I think number 18 was just an overall good map in terms of the COIs and looking at how the COIs were handled. So that's where I'm at. Because unfortunately, I had computer problems while I'm here, but that's my overall comment right now.
Commissioner Wong.
Yes, thank you. I can argue for my 2 that, only received 1 but I do notice that we have 4 here that have overwhelming support. So I would be, well, I would be willing to go with this 4, but basically what I did and why I chose maps 5 and 16 was because they well, 5 tried to keep San Gabriel Valley together. It also created, kind of maximized, and both of the maps tried to do this, maximize the Asian and the Black districts, so that there was, a high percentage, and it could be what we would call, I guess, like Asian influence and Black influence districts, and made them competitive, although they would have to be in coalition with Latino communities. But at any rate, those particular 2 maps seem to concentrate those populations that either concentrated in one district, or maybe they had 2 strong influence districts. And so I found those maps, particularly 5 and 16, helpful. But I really like the People's Bloc and Maldef's maps as well, because it's one of the few that actually has 2 Latino majority districts. It's using the CBAP. Thanks.
Commissioner Franklin?
Yes, thank you. As I spoke on last night, map 4 regarding the San Fernando Valley, and keeping the San Fernando Valley whole and intact. Plus, the determinant factor as well are the voices of the different communities that came out in support of their community. Those individuals who actually live in the community and advocating for their communities of interest and keeping them whole, and looking for advancement as far as voices within their community. So that's why I chose 4. Number 18 really encompasses all, for me at least, all of the voices that we've heard through public comments regarding communities of interest. And looking at the 5 districts that were drawn by the mapper really spoke to my interest as it relates to Long Beach and keeping Long Beach whole. And also map number 10, again, the coastal communities, and actually wanting to not have their communities chopped up and divided up. And so the voices that spoke for that particular map were actual residents that actually live in the community. So that's why I chose those.
Commissioner Holtzman?
Thank you. I'm encouraged by the support for the People's Bloc map, but I could not give it a runners-up check mark because it doesn't work with our redistricting software. You load it into our redistricting software, and the redistricting software forces its District 2 to go all the way to the coast, and splits District 3. So what I did to create 24, which is my first choice really, is use the redistricting units that were available to us. The problem is that our software doesn't have the census data, the census geography in it anymore. And reconnect District 3 for one thing. And I also made some improvements in neighborhood council boundary fealty, as well as the shape of the protrusion of District 5 into the San Fernando Valley. And I would note that 24 does, just like that the People's Block map does split the San Fernando Valley. So people who say they like it because it doesn't, it does. And so, and I think it should be split into the way, pretty much the way the People's Block proposed it. I also made some improvements to District 1 to make the borders of it a little smoother. The borders of it may not look so smooth when imported into our software just because of the quirk there. I mean, so we could fix our software and use the People's Block map as submitted, or use an adjusted version. And if you're going to use an adjusted version of the People's Block map, I suggest map 24. Map 1, I think this Jay Rasmussen person, whoever it is, really has his finger on the pulse of the way things are in North County and in the rest of the county. And I was very pleased to see the statistics, the 3 majority, minority districts, et cetera, that go with map number 1, which was something I liked. I like the MALDEF map, and that map's shapefile doesn't even load at all into our redistricting software. So I'd love to see a fix to that. But I chose it as one of my first choices because of you know, a really good presentation, really good explanation. I like the way it uses the neighborhood council boundaries as guidelines for drawing district lines. I found that with our redistricting software, and actually I asked Priya this last time, she said she'd have a number to tell us how many redistricting units or community units in the software cross neighborhood council boundaries, basically forcing splits. When I adjusted to from number 22 to 24, I did that to hew more closely to neighborhood council boundaries. But in that spreadsheet we saw before, the number of splits remained the same, so that you don't see that improvement because redistricting units cross neighborhood council boundaries, and neighborhood councils are officially, to my mind, communities of interest. So anyway, that's why I chose, what did I say, 1, 24, and MALDEF, and I like my number 28 as a good way to connect the unincorporated areas of the North County to communities of interest with which they'll probably share interest.
Commissioner Kenny?
Yes, for the record, I had also had District 10 as a suggestion, but I was looking at 4 different things. And Gail, are you going to fix that?
What adjustment would you like, Commissioner?
I had District 10 as a suggestion, District 10. There's an X, I'm sorry, an X in District 10. And then, I don't know where you took it from. I had 3, 15, and 17, and then 10 and 19 with X's. Okay. So I was looking to keep the San Fernando Valley together, keep the San Gabriel Valley together, rationalize the bottom portion of Los Angeles County, which is the ports and the South Bay, and also rationalize the eastern portion of Los Angeles County. And I think that the 3 maps that I chose did the best job of doing that.
Co-Chair Maeda?
So first, I have to say, we were not inundated with maps like we feared or thought we might be, but the maps that we got are I think you will agree, are by and large quality products, reflecting a lot of thought and different kinds of ideas. And I think within that group, we easily could find a small handful. I'm hopeful that we could find a small handful of maps that we can garner at least 9 votes to proceed with in terms of our public hearings. My analysis started out by looking for maps that had at least 2 Latino citizen voting age population majorities, at least 1 Black, I guess you'd call them opportunity district, or a district that has some significant representation among African Americans, and at least 1 that has significant representation among Asian Americans. I wanted to like a map that kept the valley together, the San Fernando Valley together, because that was a huge note that we received. But I have to say, virtually every map that I saw that kept the San Fernando Valley together, more or less, either did not provide for at least 2 Latino CVAPs, or split the San Gabriel Valley in such a way that I was fearing that it was going to dilute the Asian American vote. I do think it's important to try to keep the San Gabriel Valley together as much as possible. Some splits are probably inevitable in that area, but I would not want too many. I thought number 2 map, I'm the only one, but I thought that met my minimum criteria, and also created a very interesting Asian American, not an Asian American district, but a district that tried to capture the Asian American areas of the San Gabriel Valley in an interesting way, including Alhambra, Monterey Park, Arcadia, Walnut, and Diamond Bar, sort of in a wrapping around fashion. But I recognize that the MALDEF map 23 also does some of those things. And so I'm glad to see the support for that one. I will note on the MALDEF map, it consciously splits 2 cities, Long Beach and Torrance, which is, has generally been frowned upon or, less well regarded or whatever as we do our work. On the other hand, they explain what they're doing. And I think it is something I'd like the public to comment on, whether that is a fatal flaw or whether that's something that makes sense and people can live with. And then finally, 19 is one of the 2 pie slice maps, which really do not particularly follow the COI map groupings very much, but have some degree of, there's a certain what you call beauty to them, or a certain appeal to them in the way that they're fashioned. But I see that 15 got significant support, and that's a lot like 19. I think I could support either one of those. So those are my comments at this point.
Commissioner Mendoza.
Thank you. I mentioned in our last meeting that I didn't think the supervisorial districts as currently drawn are broken per se, looking to improve that. So I tended to shy away from that, which maps that radically changed the boundaries. I found favor with map 14, primarily because it looks to keep the communities together, appears to straighten out boundary lines that may have occurred as a result of gerrymandering in the past. Map 18 appears to keep communities of interest together well. The San Gabriel Valley looks to be into 2 clear, distinct districts. Map 25, East LA is kept together. I like that. Reconfigures who represents the San Gabriel Valley in a north-south fashion. I didn't think that was a bad idea. And then the honorable mention map that I put forth was 23, the MALDEF map. And I know this sounds trite, but just holistically, it looked right. Those are my comments.
Commissioner Morales.
Yeah, so I was looking at the People's Block map, and just in terms, and also the MALDEF map that really try to, go a little bit deeper in terms of the CVAP and how it creates minority majority districts. I like the way that the opportunity is presented for other communities as well. In terms of map 18, I saw the same comparison, just there's some that you can just literally overlay. If they were in transparencies, they would kind of be the similar kind of approach and style to it. So I figured there's a lot of folks that are interested in that particular aspect of it, and also just in terms of keeping communities together. And so, yeah, the simplicity of it, I think, is what I'm interested in. Yeah, that's it.
Commissioner Obregon?
I guess when I looked at the 3 maps that I picked, map 1, and then when I compared it to map 15, they were very similar, and I had to go back and forth, and then I realized the same person, I think, created it. But map 15 really uses a good approach where it emanates all the 5 districts in Metro LA, kind of uses a pinwheel effect, so that there's a distinct southeast, a southwest, a San Gabriel Valley, and a north, which includes the right side of the San Fernando Valley, and then a west side, if you want to call it that. The simplicity of the lines and the pinwheel effect, and it creates areas where the Latin community, it protects, I think, the African or Black community in southwest LA. And, so keeping the San Gabriel Valley intact. So that one really looked the most logical when I look at it. Like I said, map 1 is very similar. There's a few differences, so I'm really advocating for, I guess, 15. Yeah, number 15. And the others, had other, but let's just leave it at that. Basically, from what I saw, I think 15th was the very logical pinwheel effect, kind of like slices of a pizza. And everything emanates in downtown, or Metro, I should say, and radiates outward. Thank you.
Commissioner Hyla Soto?
Yes, I'll repeat Commissioner Obregon's comments. 15, kind of like what's described as a pie map, just a little bit different approach, more or less keeps the San Gabriel Valley in place, intact. And then, which is also similar to map 19 that was submitted by Commissioner Stetcher. The other one that I found a little bit of a different approach was map 27, which was also produced, which the person Kim Billy produced map 10. So they were similar, kind of keeping the southern region of the county together. But I think when I was reviewing the maps, and I think there were some public comments yesterday relating to reviewing kind of like the watershed. So that's kind of like what I was looking at: resources, water flow, mountains, natural boundaries. So I kind of was gravitating more toward maps that kind of kept the valleys together: San Gabriel Valley, San Fernando Valley, Antelope Valley, and then the southern regions. And then I did mention I did a late submittal for map 30. And that one I attempted to keep San Gabriel Valley together, San Fernando Valley together. It was just hard as I kept missing the deviation. It was exceeding the 10% every time I tried to submit. But I did not do an analysis for the CPAP, but I think San Gabriel Valley has like about maybe 25% Asian population. So that was kind of like my grouping, as well as the central district, kind of keeping Crenshaw, Inglewood all the way down to Long Beach, to kind of have a 25% or so opportunity district for African Americans. And then I tried not to split as many COIs, but it was just a little bit hard as I was just wanting to submit something in. So I know it's a little bit unconventional to see kind of like District 1 where they put from all the way from Pasadena all the way down to the gateway cities, except for Long Beach, kind of grouping that one, which was the largest Latino population. Kind of the 710 follows the 710 and the LA River pattern. There could be adjustments, but I figure based on public testimonies I was hearing in the last this week, it kind of developed that. And that's it. Thank you.
Commissioner Sandra Soto?
So maybe I'll start with map 30, which is Commissioner Soto's map, and what I appreciated. Interesting enough, you said you were challenged with keeping communities of interest together. I think you did a pretty good job doing that, and I think I caught on to your thoughts around the 710 corridor as well as the LA River. I know that those are issues that are important to sort of those geographies and communities. I also, I think, appreciated the compactness of your districts, or sort of your lines with that. And I think you only had one majority minority district in there, but I thought that you had some opportunity districts that we can build on. And then I think for the same reasons that Commissioner Morales selected 12 and 23. 12 and 23. Minority majority districts, as well as opportunity districts for Black, Asian, American communities. I think those are important elements, but I will say that I think both of those maps can improve, although I know that may impact minority majority districts and opportunity districts, but can improve on compactness, because I think there are some districts that run a very expansive line, and I think that can be really challenging for representation. So thank you.
Commissioner Stetcher?
Thank you. I'm very happy with the 3 maps that garnered the most support among the commission. I didn't highlight map 12, but I like it. I felt we were being lobbied pretty strongly tonight in favor of map 12, but what was more persuasive to me than the individuals who spoke as the organizations that were part of the coalition that put this together. And I think going forward, we'll have an opportunity to tweak it. I like Commissioner Holtzman's efforts to tweak it, to fix some stuff on the Pacific Coast. And so I'm pleased with that. I think map 19 is so similar to map 15 that you could almost combine those supporters. And again, as we get comments back, we'll be able to make adaptations. So overall, I'm very pleased with what we have come up with here, and I won't defend specific choices.
Commissioner Bento?
Yeah, so I do agree with the 4 highlighted maps that are elected 12, 15, 23, and 18. And I appreciate what Commissioner Stetcher said about 19 and 15. I do wanted to just highlight one thing that I thought was interesting, and that is map 1. And it does something different in the North County, which, if just kind of hearing certain people talking about the North County, some of the maps put the entire North County under one supervisor. And those are what we've heard is there are some problems that occur in terms of resources in that area. And so I would like to just consider if we could think about, in the back of our minds, debate something like map 1, where it may split up the North County, where it creates, so there's double representation in the northern part of LA County for that reason. So, so with Gayla, what I'd like to do is just, if I could change my map 6 to map, remove number 1. Yes, correct. Just remove that and then replace that for map 1. Thank you. And then, yeah. And so So thank you for your time.
I believe that's all the commissioners.
Thank you, fellow commissioners. I think we've made some tremendous progress. I'm going to try something here and see if you can go with me. We need 9 votes to take action on anything. Right now, for the 23, map 23, there is 7 votes as the top 3, but plus 2 honorable mentions. That's already 9. For map 12, there is 6 votes for the top choice plus 2 honorable mentions. That's 8. And then Commissioner Holtzman has 24, map 24, which he says builds off of 12. I understand there are maybe some issues in terms of converting the map 12 map or shape files or whatever it is to our software, but I assume Commissioner Holtzman would agree that if we started with map 12, we put that one out there, since that one is the one that has garnered all this organizational support, he would be able to work with map 12 and tweak it in ways that he thinks are superior that he provided in map 24. If he does that, that's 9 votes for map 12. Map 15 and 19, as Commissioner Stetcher correctly observes, very, very close. You can label them, you can put them on top of each other, and there's not that much difference. I selected 19 because it had 2 Latino CVAP majorities, and 15 only had 1, but I'm sure it could be tweaked if that was an important consideration. But if you add those 2 together, that's 7 plus 3 honorable mentions for 19, that's 10. So to me, we already have enough support to put forward 12, 15. Let's assume we'll go with 15 instead of 19. I don't know if Commissioner Stetcher wants to argue for why 19 is better than 15. But one of those 2 and 23, if we can agree that those at least will be 3 maps, and we could continue to discuss whether to add more. But I would love to be able to come to a consensus on putting forward those 3 maps, either, 23 and 12, and either 15 or 19. And I'm happy to entertain comment on those.
If I may, Co-Chair Maeda, per our agenda, possible approval of draft maps for the public hearings comes under item 5B as in boy.
Oh.
And that was, we had listed 2 items just because we weren't sure how things were going to go. So I do think if you are going to move on to voting on the ones that would go for the first public hearing, that should be done under item 5B.
Okay, thank you, Council. Appreciate that. We won't be moving or voting yet on this, but let's happy to take comments since I raised this provocative proposal. Ty, can you call the hands as they came up if you were keeping track?
We have Commissioner Bento, then Commissioner Wong, and Commissioner Mendoza.
Commissioner Maeda, I support this. I like this suggestion that you have put forward. I don't think it's radical. I think it's reasonable to narrow these choices down. And I would also I just need a point of clarification from maybe Holly or Gayla or Commissioner Maeda. Are we bound by only having 3? Is it possible that there might be a 4th or a 5th, like just for consideration? So that's why I was just wanting to mention.
There is nothing in the statute that says it has to be a certain number of maps. We have been talking about 3 as a very convenient number and perhaps provide sufficient diversity for the public to comment. We're not bound to that. If people feel strongly that we should have a different or a number or less or more, we can make that. I'm just observing that it looks like we have 3, and we certainly can make we can have additional discussion. We'll hear additional public comment, and if people want to advocate for additional maps, we can add those.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And yes, I do support this idea.
Commissioner Wong, then Commissioner Mendoza.
Yeah, I guess it's similar to, I guess it's similar to Commissioner Vento's comment. I'm not sure if he was actually suggesting it or not, but I do think that, I think there's enough consensus around the top 4 choices to be able to, you know, and I feel comfortable, and I know we're not making a decision now, but to go with the 4, since they seem to be pretty closely matched choices. And so I would just think, I'm very happy that we actually have such kind of a consensus on that. So I would support that at any rate. You know, as you say, 3 is not, there's nothing that says we have to just have 3. So since we have strong consensus on 4, I might just suggest that. Thanks.
Commissioner Mendoza, then Commissioner Obregon.
Thank you. Commissioner Opernella Segura is not present, and she asked, she made her selection, but if I recall, she asked for whole cities to be moved from one district to another. Did it apply to map number 12?
Yes, she did have suggestions for moving maps, and as I suggested, we should not. I certainly strongly recommend us not to get involved in the weeds of that kind of thing. There's plenty of time, especially in
I agree with that. I'm sorry, apologize,
yes.
Co-chair. I was going to say that I think the map should be submitted and vote on as is.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Obregon, then Commissioner Kenny.
And of course, reviewing the maps, map 1 and map 15 really have the same approach. What Commissioner Vento was explaining in map 1, yes, it kind of breaks up the Antelope Valley, gives it a little bit more, slides it over a little bit, but the approach is really the same. It uses the pinwheel effect, uses LA downtown or Metro LA, and the 5 districts emanate from there. The similarity of those 2 maps. So I would think if we were to drop one of them, like I think I heard we wanted to try to bring it to 3, some of those votes, if those people could look at map 15 and notice the similarities, might go with map 15. And this preliminary voting, or I shouldn't even call it preliminary voting, it's more like preliminary tallying, to see where we have some support and going forward. Thank you.
Commissioner Kenny, then Co-Chair Williams.
Yes, just a point of correction for Gala. I think Commissioner Wong's suggestion was to include map 12 and not map 6. I'm sorry, Commissioner Wong suggested 4 maps, 12, 18, and 23.
Well, I guess I did not actually, I guess it was the ones that are in yellow. Let me put it that way, the one that seemed to have the most votes.
I believe, is that correct now?
Thank you.
Yes.
Co-Chair Williams, then Commissioner Holtzman.
I just wanted to support Commissioner Wong. I like perhaps looking at the top 4. I know there were the 3 that stood out, but I'd like to consider the top 4 as well.
Commissioner Holtzman.
Thank you. I thought Commissioner Maeda was suggesting that we vote on each map individually to decide whether or not to advance that map to the, for further consideration. And I think that's a better idea. I'm hearing now people trying to lump groups of maps together, and I think I would prefer voting on the maps individually.
I believe there are no other commissioner hands.
Holly, do we now just announce that we're in phase or item 5B?
Yes, you can close out item 5A, open 5B. You can take public comment and then proceed with whatever motions you may have.
Excellent. Okay, so we've closing 5A. We're now opening 5B. There's no staff report at this point. The public has now heard a lot of discussion under 5A, but let's take public comment before we proceed to motions and possible vote.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and take over the screen so we can get the timer on there. Okay, so we're going to start off with Stuart Waldman. Stuart, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself. And if you are comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
I had hoped that the San Fernando Valley would have adequate representation, but it doesn't seem that that's fully going to happen quite yet. San Fernando Valley has 2 miles of metro train tracks. That's because we don't really have representation. Looking at these maps, map 23 would split the valley into 3 different districts. I don't know what the valley would end up with in that situation. Map 18 is fine. We can probably live with it. It's better than some of the others. Map 12 only splits the valley into 2 parts, as does map 15. Map 15 cuts the valley along what looks like the 170, so that's an interesting cut. But we would ask that the valley be cut into no more than 2 districts. If you must cut it. 3 districts would be a travesty and a step backwards.
Thank you, Stuart. Next, we have Faraz Akil. Faraz, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you are comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Yes. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for all your consideration for my OP map number 15. But I just wanted just a quick clarification. One, the commissioners kept comparing my number 15 map with number 1, but I only made the number 15 map. I did make an earlier map with the preliminary, and it's called PP001. So, but only map 15 and PP001 were the only maps I made. I'm not related with the OP map 001. And that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Faraz. Next, we have Chris Rowe. Chris, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself. And if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute to make your public comment.
I'm sorry, I missed this meeting because I was at the LA City Redistricting Commission meeting. And I would have to say that any map that split the San Fernando Valley would be a disservice. I have calculated the San Fernando Valley at 1.4 million people, and we should be contiguous and compact and whole as a valley. And I did not have the opportunity to view those. And I support map 4 that Stuart Waldman wrote or showed earlier. And as I said last night, I wanted to be able to see Commissioner Kenny's maps and things, which I really, I spent 2 nights watching these meetings and didn't get the opportunity to see them all. And so really, I would like to see us whole in the San Fernando Valley. We should not be gerrymandering to create districts. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Next, we have Henry Fung. Henry, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself. And if you are comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hi, my name is Henry Fung, and thank you again, commissioners, for taking the time to look at all these maps, all these great work from the public. Little disappointed my map wasn't selected. Thank you, Commissioner Wong, for recognizing what I tried to do. But certainly these 4 choices are good for discussion. I hope that you advance all 4 choices for the public to talk about. I think that some of the maps, there is going to have to be some gerrymandering because, or what people call gerrymandering, because we do need to meet the Voting Rights Act. I think that all of the maps that are the semifinalists, the 4 maps, do meet that. I am not a big fan of the People's Block map because it splits the San Gabriel Valley into 3 pieces. And unfortunately, looking at the MALDEF map 23, it also splits the San Fernando Valley into 3 pieces. So if there's a way that we can keep these valleys, maybe not intact, but split in only 2 pieces, that would be great, which the other 2 semifinalists do. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Henry. Next, we have Laura Quinones. Laura, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Ty, while she's logging on, I did not get her last name. If you could provide that again.
It seems that it may have been an accidental hand. I see that they have put their hand back down.
And Renee Jimenez was on the other agenda item, I believe.
Yes, but now they reconfirmed the agenda item. So next we have Jackie Contreras. Jackie, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself. If you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Hi, Commissioners. I just want to speak out against map 15. It loops South LA with the coastal communities, and they're very, very different populations. South LA is a Black and Brown community. It is working class, and that's very different from communities like Redondo Beach and Rancho Palos Verdes. So I would urge the Commissioners not to move forward with that map.
Thank you, Jackie. And I do see Laura's hand back up. So Laura Quinones, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself. And if you are comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment. Laura, if you can hear me, you should be prompted by Zoom to confirm that you will be upgraded to a panelist. Okay, so I am getting a message from Laura saying that their hand is not raised. Okay, so I will move on. Next, we have Renee Jimenez. Renee, momentarily you will be able to unmute yourself. And if you are comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Yes, good evening. Hi. I just want to first quickly thank all the commissioners and also all the public servants on the phone. You know, it's Thursday night and we're all tired from work and whatnot, but it's going to take all of us to really define these maps, to really provide the representation that we need. And these aren't just maps that we're talking about, folks. These are people. And I feel like the People's Block, map 12, has really provided the most adequate representation that we need in this time. So I really feel I want to strongly encourage everyone to support map 12 and either add it to the top 3 or top 4, whatever the commission decides. And then once again, thank you for your time and dedication to this. This is history, folks. Thank you.
Thanks, Renee. Next, we have Joseph Roth. Joseph, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself. And if you're comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute to make your public comment. Joseph, whenever you're ready, please unmute yourself. Joseph, if you can hear me, you will need to unmute yourself.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
My internet's being unstable, otherwise you'd see me too, all frazzled. Anyways, thank you all for your service. Just one, I'm a little confused by this process that you're going to advance all these publicly submitted maps without any of them actually being one generated by the commissioners after you've expressed all these wonderful preferences and ideas and attributes that you liked about these maps. I think it'd be nice if there would at least be one that collectively reflected your initial thoughts to accompany these submitted ones. Additionally, some of these submitted ones are not all in similar formats, which I know you've kind of discussed in earlier nights, but it does make it harder for lay people to sit here, pull them up and try and compare them when they're not really apples to apples. And then finally, I just want to say I'm on the board of the Westwood South HOA and the Westside Neighborhood Council. And most of these maps do not reflect HOA boundaries or WNC boundaries to our detriment. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Joseph. Next, we have Wade Major. Wade, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself. And if you are comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment.
Yes, hi. I think all of the current finalists are problematic with the exception of map 18. What you don't want to do is dedicate the one district to the entire coastal area of Los Angeles County so that only one district actually is concerned with the coast. There are two very, very different economies and ecologies on the coast, and that is those of our region where I live on the western side, which is very rural and mountainous and suffers wildfires and slides. And then there is the more cosmopolitan part, which should include Santa Monica and Venice, which right now are very awkwardly attached to the Pacific Palisades and Malibu. I think map 18 does a very good job of creating two districts with coastal interests, but it allocates one to those with a cosmopolitan coastal concern and another one to those of common interest that are more rural. And I think it's not a very gerrymandered map. It has north, east, west, south, and central, and it looks very logical.
Thank you, Wade. Next, we have someone identified as Zoom user. So Zoom user, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself. And if you are comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you have 1 minute to make your public comment. And Holly, I see you unmuted yourself.
No, go ahead.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Cara Pope. I just wanted to voice support, like some others have, for not splitting the valley up too much. I like map 18, but I really prefer something more like map 10 or 27. I think preserving the valley, the San Fernando Valley and San Gabriel Valley, is really important. And I would just encourage you guys maybe to even consider combining the two maps of map 10 and map 27. But overall, just really encourage you guys to not split the valley up into, 3 or 4 different areas, really 2 at most. Thank you.
Thank you, Kara. Next, we have Bruce Rowe. Bruce, momentarily, you'll be able to unmute yourself. And if you are comfortable, you may share your video. Once you begin speaking, you will have 1 minute to make your public comment. So Bruce, if you can hear me, you should be prompted by Zoom to confirm your upgrade to the panelists. Okay, Bruce, whenever you are ready, please unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was having difficulty. I want to support map 4, which is not one of the ones that you've chosen, or map 18, which is one that you've chosen. At any rate, any map that keeps the San Fernando Valley whole or mostly whole. The San Fernando Valley is a unique cultural area, and it should be kept whole. Most of the other maps gerrymander the valley so that a representative could live at considerable distance from the San Fernando Valley and have perhaps little personal contact with people in the San Fernando Valley. Each district should have a person that lives within their district, should not be gerrymandered to such a degree that people could be living at considerable distance. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Co-chairs, I believe that's the last one for this agenda item. Would you like to close the public comments for this agenda item?
Yes, public comments are now closed for item 5B.
And also, Co-Chair Maeda, if I might point out, you all have been sitting here for since 6:30. I don't know if you want to take a 5-minute break and then come back, because we do have one other agenda item after this, which shouldn't take too long, but I think people may need to stretch their legs.
It's a good idea. That's a good time for a break. 5 minutes, please.
So that is our 5-minute time. You're on mute.
We could gather back. Gayla, could you show again the tally
Happy
chart?
to.
Okay, so we have now discussed this. I'm sure there's going to be more discussion, but I want to see if there is support for making a motion to advance to the next stage some of these maps. I hear Commissioner Holtzman's request that we do this one by one. I think that's appropriate. I wasn't, what I was suggesting was that it seems like there may be time to be able to make a motion to advance these, or at least some of these, because of the numbers that I'm looking at. But that's what I would like to do. If there is, please ask the host to give you permission to record. It popped up on my screen for some reason. Is there a motion, Commissioner Mendoza?
Thank you, Co-Chair Maeda. There's been discussion ad infinitum about advancing 3 or possibly more. Can we, are we going to decide on that first? I think it might be important to do so. And then what we think is the top 3 or 4 or whatever number we select candidates, I'm in favor of voting for all of them together.
So there has been a request to do them separately. I mean, I guess I could see it either way, but in case someone feels that they would not vote for one, but they would vote for the other ones or whatever, we may as well do them one by one. Commissioner Wong?
Yes, listening to the public comments, it kind of made me think a little bit more about the range of choices in our maps that I actually hadn't kind of considered. I had actually thought about it before, but it's related to maybe categories of maps or, but the idea of possibly having one of the maps at least suggest that the San Fernando Valley, or at least take into consideration trying to keep it whole, has made me think about whether like map number 1 might do that, or anyway, possibly having another map that has that option.
So
Because
Commissioner Wong, that still can be done. We're not saying these are the only maps. All we're talking about, I'm making a proposal that we move towards advancing one or more of these maps. We'll obviously need to further tweak them. The public will comment, et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't foreclose any additional consideration of additional maps. Commissioner Stetcher?
May I make a motion?
Yes, you may make a motion.
I move that we advance map 12 to the next stage where we present it to the public.
Is there a second?
I see Commissioner Ventel's hand.
Can I just make a suggestion, if everybody's okay with this? And this is just a suggestion. Could we include just map 1? Only because that does something different to the Antelope Valley.
Commissioner Vento, I'm sorry, there is a motion on the table on that, unless you're proposing to amend that in some way. It doesn't sound like you are.
Can we amend it?
Okay, I mean, the motion was to advance one particular map, and you're Are you going to substitute a map?
I'm sorry. I misspoke. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying. I'm sorry. I got a little confused. Yes. I second the motion for map 12.
Okay, so it's been moved and it's now been moved and seconded to advance map 12 to the next stage. Is there any additional comment on that before we vote?
Commissioner Mendoza?
I would make a motion to include map 18, and if that's appropriate to do so. So it would be both 12 and 18 that are advanced.
I guess that's an amendment to Commissioner Stetcher's motion. Is there a second to that?
I second.
Okay. Is there discussion on that amended motion?
Commissioner Holtzman?
Yeah, I could vote for map 12 for sure. I didn't catch the other one, but I'll vote against the motion that includes more than one.
Commissioner Morales, then Commissioner Saida Soto, and Commissioner Hyla Soto.
Yeah, just kind of similar to that. Let's go one by one and get these through.
Commissioner Saida Soto.
Can you just clarify? So we put these maps forth, whichever we vote on, and I understand we're voting individually to move them forward. And they will move forward without modifications. They move forward as is for comment, and then there will be opportunity for modification. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Hyla Soto, then Commissioner Kenny.
I had the same question, like Commissioner Saida Soto. Just with one of the maps, I did have a suggestion to modify, but I know it's going to take forever, so I won't. We'll just let the public comment, just because I think it's going to be. We'll get a lot of public testimony, because I think one of the COIs is getting split on one of the proposed maps, but it's not with 12, so I'm okay.
Yeah, I mean, just to be perfectly clear, what we would be saying is public. These are 2 or 3 or 5 maps options for your consideration. What do you guys think? We may individually have our own suggestions, disputes, whatever, to modify them. We may be advancing those during the public hearing process. Public will come forward undoubtedly and say, great, map 5, but do this. We'll take that testimony, and then at some point we will incorporate it or reject it or do whatever we're going to do. We still have full ability to modify maps that we're proposing for consideration, because that's really all we're doing. We're not saying if you love this particular one, it's going through with no other changes. That's not our task. And so what I would suggest is we pick some maps that have broad support. We may want to even consider taking maps that do different things, so that at least those ideas are out there. And that's something that Commissioner Wong has suggested she may want to do. But I'm just trying to move this process forward. Let's get some maps voted on and through, and we could have further debate on if there are other maps that should be pushed through. Commissioner Kenny.
Yes, I cannot support moving forward map 12 and 18 because they do split up the San Gabriel Valley. And in addition, map 12 creates a very odd coastal district that I think would be unwieldy. So I cannot support any motion that does not also include map 15.
Okay. May I suggest, I'm sorry, I can't remember now, was it Commissioner Mendoza who?
Yeah, it was amended motion with the second.
Right. May I suggest that you withdraw that motion? If not, we'll vote on the motion, on the amended motion, because I think that's what the rules require us to vote on the amended motion before we get to go back to the original motion. Is that right, Holly?
That's correct. Unless this motion is withdrawn, you will vote on it.
A point of order. I
Yes.
believe when you propose an amendment to a motion, you have to have two votes. You have to have a vote to approve or reject the amendment. And if you approve the amendment, then you have the vote to vote to approve or reject the amended motion, right?
No.
No.
Under Rosenberg's rules, if there's a motion to amend and it is seconded, then what you're voting on is the amended version of the motion. If that passes, it extinguishes the original motion.
Oh, I like Robert's better. Sorry, Counselor.
We do have a couple hands. We have Commissioner Bento. Commissioner Holtzman, I still see your hand up, and then Commissioner Obregon.
Just a point of clarification. I just thought we were, if I'm correct, we're going to vote on one map at each time, right? I thought that's
Commissioner
what we were
Vento,
doing.
Commissioner Vento, that was the original motion. Commissioner Mendoza amended the motion to add on another map, and he wants to vote on two maps in his amended motion. That has now been seconded. And that is what we're discussing, whether we proceed to vote on that or whether that amended motion will be withdrawn.
If it's the preference of the co-chair to for me to withdraw the motion, I will.
I do think it will be cleaner for everybody and avoid a situation where people have to explain why they voted, perhaps against that one, but they would individually support individual maps.
Okay, therefore, motion withdrawn.
Thank you.
I also see
Chairman
Commissioner Obregon's
Maeda?
hand.
I see Commissioner Obregon's hand is up. I also just was wondering if it wouldn't be better to put the scorecard up so people could sort of see the factors of the maps or not.
Let's see if we can do it this way, Gayla.
Okay.
Commissioner Obregon?
Yeah, I was confused on where we're going with this. I kind of thought the four map versions, 12, 15, 18, and 23, that had the more votes or more tallies were going to be the ones we were going to proceed with for evaluation. That's what I kind of thought we were going.
Commissioner Obregon, that's where I would like to go, but we are trying to do this one map at a time to avoid people having to explain why they don't support a particular motion because it has a map on that they don't like. So that's why I would suggest we proceed to a vote on Brian Stetcher's original motion to put forward map 12. Commissioner Holtzman.
I'm grabbing from my Rosenberg's cheat sheet here. I would like to call the question, just trying to figure out how am I supposed to say it. Oh, I call the question.
Commissioner Holtzman has called the question. Is there any further discussion? Commissioner Stetcher, am I correct that your motion was to advance map 12 to the next stage? Yes, please call roll time.
Okay, commissioners, please be prepared to unmute your mic and respond when your name is called. I will now take roll call. Commissioner Dorina Wong.
Yes.
Commissioner Jean Franklin.
Yes.
Commissioner David Holtzman.
Yes.
Commissioner Mary Kenny.
No.
Co-chair Maeda.
Yes.
Commissioner Mark Mendoza.
Aye.
Commissioner Apolonio Morales.
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson Obregon.
Yes.
Commissioner Haile Soto.
Yes.
Commissioner Saida Soto.
Yes.
Commissioner Brian Stetcher.
Aye.
Commissioner John Vento.
Yes.
Co-chair Carolyn Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Are there any other motions at this time?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to bring map 18 forward for consideration and advancement.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded.
Looks like Co-Chair Mayeda may have got logged off.
Okay, I'll continue with it. It's been, oh, I don't, we'll bring him back into discussion. I do want to make sure he's included. Did we lose him?
I guess the question is if there's any commissioners who want to make a statement, or when he returns, are you ready to do roll call? There is.
Okay, all right.
Commissioner Holtzman, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, I have some disagreements with map 18. Among my disagreements are that it seems to lump a longstanding old money part of West Los Angeles, sort of towards the eastern end of Wilshire Boulevard and around there, with South Central Los Angeles. I don't think the voters or political activists there would appreciate that. It also disrespects a couple of Latinx communities. And for instance, the 710 corridor. For some reason, it has the cities of Bell and Bell Gardens in separate districts. I think that's wrong. And it also doesn't have the whole sort of slice from Highland Park to LaSalle Park down to west of downtown LA, Alvarado Street, etc., in one district. For those reasons, I'll oppose this motion.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, if there are no other comments, is Dan back?
I am back. I apologize. I don't know what happened there.
That's okay.
Are we ready to vote then on Commissioner Mendoza's motion? And that motion, to clarify, was to advance map 18. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, let's take roll.
Okay, commissioners, please be prepared to unmute your mic and respond when your name is called. I will now take roll call. Commissioner Jean Franklin.
Yes.
Commissioner David Holtzman.
No.
Commissioner Mary Kenny.
No.
Co-Chair Mayeda.
Yes.
Commissioner Mark Mendoza.
Aye.
Commissioner Apolonio Morales.
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson Obregon.
Yes.
Commissioner Haile Soto.
No.
Commissioner Saida Soto.
Yes.
Commissioner Brian Stetcher.
Yes.
Commissioner John Bento.
Yes.
Co-Chair Carolyn Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Dorina Wong.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Any other motions at this time?
I'd like to, make a motion to move map 23 forward.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. Who was that for the record?
I heard Commissioner Saida Soto, and I believe I heard Co-Chair Williams.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion on this motion for map 23? Seeing none, let's call the question, and Ty, please take roll on 23.
Okay, commissioners, again, please be prepared to unmute your mic and respond when your name is called. I will now take roll call. Commissioner David Holtzman.
Yes.
Commissioner Mary Kenny.
No.
Co-Chair Daniel Maeda.
Aye.
Commissioner Mark Mendoza.
Aye.
Commissioner Apolonio Morales.
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson Obregon.
Yes.
Commissioner Haile Soto.
Yes.
Commissioner Saida Soto.
Yes.
Commissioner Brian Stetcher.
Yes.
Commissioner John Bento.
Yes.
Co-Chair Carolyn Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Dorina Wong.
Yes.
And Commissioner Jean Franklin.
No.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Are there any other motions at this time?
I see Commissioner Stetcher's hand is up.
Yes.
Yes, I would move to advance map 15 for a public comment.
I see Commissioner Obregon's hand is up as well.
Well, I guess maybe I'm seconding that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to advance map 15. Is there further discussion on that one?
Okay, I see Commissioner Holtzman's hand is up.
Yes. Commissioner Holtzman?
You are muted. You're muted, Commissioner Holtzman.
Please, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to decide what this falls under, but I would like some time to look at this map again before we vote on it. I left it on the cutting room floor with all the other maps here. I think I had some strong reasons to oppose it. Could we take like a 3-minute break so I could call it up here and have a look?
I'd rather not take a break, but if we could, maybe Gayla, can you pull up that map so we all could look at it together?
Is it possible for somebody to characterize it?
I think this is one of the so-called pie slice or pinwheel maps. 15 and Commissioner Stetter's 19 both had the look of maps that join more or less in the center and sort of spiral out. I don't know that I'd want to characterize it more than that.
Commissioner Bento, I see your hand is up.
I just, a point of clarification, if we're just looking at this map and we're just putting it forward for public comment, we're not agreeing on anything. Am I correct on if I'm understanding this right? So we're just looking at these, like we're suggesting certain maps to go forward for discussion. So we're not agreeing, we're not pledging allegiance to any of these maps. We're just saying these are the ones. Am I correct, Commissioner Maeda?
We are saying that a majority or that a quorum of commissioners, 9+ votes, at least 9 votes, want to present this map to the public for comment as a possible map.
Right.
Of course, we would not present maps just for the heck of it. Some people feel that this map has merit enough to present to the public. It certainly is a different map than the others, but we're not bound by it. We're not saying this is going to be the map. For whatever reason. Commissioner Stetcher.
Looking at the table, this map is very compact. It creates 2 majority-minority districts based on total population, one based on CVAP, and it is yellow, sort of mid-level in terms of preserving our COIs.
And it also tends to keep the San Gabriel Valley more or less intact.
Commissioner Wong and Commissioner Holtzman.
Yes, I mean, yes, I did also just notice that it only has one Latino minority district when you look at the CVAP. I guess I do have a question, because if we are thinking that we might only want to move forward 4 maps, then I might oppose this because I may have another map that I would prefer. So I guess I would like clarification as to whether or not we can suggest another map instead or in addition to.
And the answer is, as I previously stated, if there is support among the commission to advance more than 3 maps, more than 4 maps, that can be done. With the caution that the more maps we present at this stage, the harder it is going to be to possibly. It may be more difficult to actually come to a select one, but if there is support for advancing additional maps, you can make that motion to do so. Commissioner Holtzman.
That gave me an opportunity to look at the map and see a couple of reasons why I didn't advance it to my top 3. And one of them is it's a shame that it only has one majority-minority district based on CVAP. It also does seem to split the Latinx swath of that's east of downtown Los Angeles a little bit there. And the whole pinwheel thing has resulted in the this is very important for you, the working class areas of the San Fernando Valley are split with this proposal. So I think, the pinwheel thing is interesting, but we also have to consider that the pinwheel of necessity will divide the core of the county, because all the slices are coming out of the core of the county. So I'm not really a fan of the pinwheel concept, and I had some other objections to this map. So I'm going to recommend a no vote on this one.
Commissioner Mendoza, I saw your hand.
Yes, I can't tell from the size of the image I'm looking at. Can we tell how Long Beach is affected or impacted by this map?
I can provide an oral. Long Beach extends northward through Cerritos, Norwalk, and Downey. The pinwheel, all of these sort of merge in terms of downtown Los Angeles in the center. In many ways, I liken it to Siena, Italy, because they had a similar type structure of that town when it was designed in, I think, the 15th century.
Okay.
So that all parts would have part of downtown, the central city.
Right. I'm sorry, I should have asked the question this way. Is Long Beach bifurcated in some fashion, or is it together?
I can't tell from this image. It looks like Long Beach may be together, and at San Pedro, that's with Rancho Palos Verdes.
Thank you.
It doesn't look like it's together. Looks like there is some split or some division.
I also want to remind the commissioners that you're going to be making some modifications to these maps going forward. So think about them conceptually. If you think they are interesting ideas to put forth, these will not likely be your final maps. Again, think of them conceptually.
Okay. Commissioner Holtzman?
If it's helpful, I have it called up in our software, and I use the identify feature, and the Long Beach community is not split with this map.
Thank you.
Co-Chair Williams?
Yeah, I'd like to call the question.
Seeing no other hands, let's go ahead and take a roll call vote on this.
Okay. Commissioners, please be prepared to unmute your mic and respond when your name is called. I will now take roll call. Co-Chair Maeda?
Aye.
Commissioner Mark Mendoza?
Abstain.
Commissioner Apollonio Morales?
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson Obregon?
Yes.
Commissioner Haila Soto?
Yes.
Commissioner Saida Soto?
No.
Commissioner Brian Stetcher?
Yes.
Commissioner John Vento?
Yes.
Co-Chair Williams?
No.
Commissioner Dorina Wong?
No.
Commissioner Jean Franklin?
No.
Commissioner David Holtzman?
No.
And I believe Commissioner Mary Kenny is not with us anymore. I don't see Commissioner Kenny. Okay. Motion fails.
Thank you. Are there any other motions to put forward at this time?
I see Commissioner Stetcher and then Commissioner Vento.
So Commissioner Stetcher lowers his hand until after the motions.
Okay. Commissioner Vento?
You're
Commissioner
muted.
Vento, you're muted.
Could we entertain a motion? I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, to consider looking at map 1 or what it does to the and how it sets everything up as one for consideration.
To be clear, you want to advance map 1 for the next phase.
Correct.
Is there a second?
Kenny, before we do, I'm sorry, Commissioner Kenny has joined us, and she was one of the people who supported map 15, and I wonder if we could record her vote and see if that changes anything.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kenny?
We're your vote on map 15.
my vote would be yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Kenny. Motion still fails.
Okay, now Commissioner Vento has moved to put forward, was it map 1?
Correct.
Map
And
1. Is there a second?
I'm sorry, did map 15 fail or pass? I didn't understand that.
I'm sorry. Yes, map 15 did not garner 9 votes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Holtzman?
I second map 1.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to advance map 1. Perhaps we can take a look at that one as well, Gayla.
Interesting map. Interesting map.
Commissioner Vento, did you want to speak on the merits of this particular map?
so I don't have all the specific details about the CVAP on this one. So if
This one has 3 Latino CVAP majorities.
Right. Thank you, Commissioner Marietta. And this, what it did do is I go back to something that was said a few meetings ago, that we have maps that are kind of similar, and then we have maps that kind of alter or something that's really different to consider. And I just thought that this is a map that is very different in terms of the way it's drawing the different. And so and the way I see this process that we are going through is we're advancing a few maps so that we can get some more feedback on what other people think and what the community thinks. So I'm agreeing to advance these maps. I'm not agreeing that I'm supporting these maps at all. So I just thought that this one particular map does some very unique drawing in terms of the way the county looks like. And I just thought it was something that we could definitely, get some feedback from the community at large and hear what they have to say.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Commissioner Mendoza, then Commissioner Stetcher.
By advancing the map, are we not supporting it by definition?
You could, as you see from the votes, even the maps that we have advanced does not garner the support of every commissioner. Some maps might have more, support than others. But if we can get 9 votes for a map, that means we want the public to be able to see it, let the public know that it's at least under consideration, gather public input. Perhaps it doesn't end up being the map. Perhaps we learn something that would help inform the way we draw other maps. That's all those are possibilities. Or we may find out no one likes this map, so it will just be rejected along the way.
Right. And if I could just add on to what Commissioner Maeda just said, was that's something that intrigues me, learning from what the community and the public are saying about these ideas. So I don't see myself, and when I'm approving these maps, as agreeing with them, just more or less trying to learn what the public has to say about them.
Understood. Is it possible to tell from the map what it does to, and quick review, how it impacts, if at all, San Gabriel Valley?
Well, so one of my comments, I mean, you can take a look at it. One of my comments is that it tends to split San Gabriel Valley 3 ways. So pieces of the San Gabriel Valley are in 3 different districts, which is, it's different and somewhat of a concern to me, at least.
Commissioner Stetcher, then Commissioner Holtzman.
Yeah, I think we're talking out of both sides of our mouth. If we want to advance map 1 because it's interesting and different, but we don't want to advance map 15 because it's weird and different. I'm not sure what our criteria were. I thought we should advance the ones that garnered the most interest across the commission. But if you want, we can consider each of these maps for its uniqueness. I'm not sure I want to support map 1. I find it very, what's the opposite of compact? Salamanderish.
Commissioner Holtzman?
On that, I'm not a real fan of all the evaluation metrics that we've had thrown at us throughout our time as commissioners. I don't think we have any obligation to go forward with the highest tallied maps from tonight, especially given the abbreviated nature of this process. On map 1, I do want to say a couple things, but I like it. First of all, as to its splitting of the San Gabriel Valley, I like the fact that it connects a good chunk of sort of like the working class area, the eastern area of the San Gabriel Valley, all the way up to the working class areas of eastern North County, Palmdale, Lancaster, and the unincorporated areas to the east, and then comes back down through the working class areas of San Fernando and the heart of San Fernando Valley, which is a working class area. And that's exactly the way I've been advocating that the San Fernando Valley be split. It puts my city, Burbank, in, it looks like it puts Burbank, part of Glendale and Pasadena and Arcadia in the same district. And that's sort of the upscale part of the east end of the San Fernando Valley, at least the Burbank and Glendale parts there. And then I'm looking at it and I see where it goes down through and has West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, and Santa Monica, and the entire Las Virgenes area with the Canoga Park and Granada Hills all together even with Santa Clarita. And I think that's appropriate for the class structure of the county as well. Again, to the San Gabriel Valley, I don't really have a problem too much with cutting off West Covina, Baldwin Park, so it can connect, especially Claremont, so it can connect with the areas up in the North Valley. I can see where you might have an issue with cutting off Alhambra, San Gabriel, Rosemead from Pasadena and Arcadia, but I think Pasadena and Arcadia are a little higher class. I think that I'm fine with the division of it there. It's a small piece of the San Gabriel Valley that's connected to Burbank and the sort of wealthier district. So to me, the magnitude of the three-way split isn't that bad. It's really a two-way split plus a little extra piece taken. I like the coastal district, District 5, that goes from Santa Monica south and then up to the that old wealth community I was talking about in Wilshire, in mid-Wilshire. And it looks like it includes West Hollywood too. I'm good with that. And, it doesn't have that U around the bottom of the county that I don't like, but it does start with Long Beach and go up through Norwalk and Southgate, Huntington Park, etc. Maybe, if we put it forward for evaluation, we'll have a little better connection to all the Latino majority cities in that area.
Thank you, Commissioner Holtzman. Can you wrap it up?
This is what you get when I can see it on the screen. My apologies, Co-Chair Maeda.
Okay, next, please.
Commissioner Morales, then Co-Chair Williams.
Yeah, I'm gonna just kind of disagree here because it really does split in really odd ways, the San Gabriel Valley. And not only that, it cuts right through cities. So like it cuts through El Monte, like right on the other side of the freeway. It cuts South Whittier from Whittier. I'm not clear on the rationale in terms of how this is supposed to function. Yeah, and that's just the start.
Co-Chair Williams.
Call for the question.
Any other comments before we vote? Okay, call roll, please.
Commissioners, please be prepared to unmute your mic and respond when your name is called. I will now take roll call. Commissioner Mark Mendoza.
No.
Commissioner Apollonia Morales.
No.
Commissioner Nelson Obregon.
No.
Commissioner Hyla Soto,
No.
Commissioner Saida Soto,
No.
Commissioner Brian Stetcher,
No.
Commissioner John Vento,
Yes.
Co-Chair Carolyn Williams,
No.
Commissioner Dorina Wong,
Yes.
Commissioner Jean Franklin,
No.
Commissioner David Holtzman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mary Kenny,
No.
Co-Chair Daniel Maeda.
No.
Motion fails.
Any other motions at this time?
Could Gayla put back the tally spreadsheet?
Sure.
Commissioner Holtzman? Oh, you are muted.
Keep doing that. I move we postpone the rest of this matter until our next meeting.
When you say postpone the rest of this matter, this is the time in which we're going to select and advance maps for public hearing. There won't be another opportunity to do that because of our deadlines.
I see a special meeting on our website scheduled for tomorrow night.
That is only if we are not able to come to an agreement on sufficient maps to present to the public.
All right, well then, all right, I'm finished with this item, but if you really want to keep going, I will defer to you, Co-Chair.
Commissioner Saida Soto.
Commissioner Wong, did you have another map in mind that you wanted us to consider?
Well, I haven't actually, I was just looking one up, but I didn't have enough time to find it, during all this discussion. Can I just ask a question? Because some people may be more familiar than me. When we were talking about map number 15 and 19 being similar, does map number 19 provide more, it could provide 2 majority Latino districts?
It does.
Because I guess then I might put forward map 19 as a motion, move forward map number 19. That was my main concern about map number 15.
It's been moved to put forward map 19 for public consideration. Is there a second?
Commissioner Stetcher, I see your hand.
I will second this, although my hand was for a different matter.
It's been moved and seconded to advance map 19. Is there further discussion? Do you all want to see 19?
Yes.
I think there's some hands. Commissioner Vento.
Okay, so Commissioner Stetcher, this is the pie one, correct? The one that am I correct on that one? Yeah.
Yes, this is the other pie map.
Okay, maybe I can ask you, Commissioner, how much does this differ from map 15? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
A lot of these, it's similar in concept, and it differs a bit on a number of the borders, so that this map has 2 districts with more than 50% Latino population using the CVAP numbers.
If you would like, I could open up the scorecard.
Yes, that would be helpful.
Oops, is that too big? Oops. So there's 15. And let me scroll down so you can have 19 on the same page. So when you look across here, maybe I could just make it a little bit of a color to help you all see it.
It's not the right one, is it? Oh, I see. Okay.
So if you look at 19 and the COI, you look at 15 and the COI, you look at the number of majority minority districts, it's 2, but when you do the CVAP, it differs.
Commissioner Holtzman, your hand is up.
Yep, my hand is up. First of all, I would prefer that we stop calling the spreadsheet a scorecard. I've already edited it on my copy of the spreadsheet to say map data tabulation, because it's not really so much a scorecard, and it does provide a lot of useful information. So thank you for the information, but the title is a little off. Now, with regards to the map we're looking at now, this would be map 19. It has some improvements over the other pinwheel map we looked at. For instance, the points where 3 districts come together are not in the central city. You know, it does divide a little bit the San Gabriel Valley, but anyway, I kind of like the look of it, except when I get to the San Fernando Valley, because it does lump the working class areas of the San Fernando Valley together with the rich west side, which we heard a lot from the working class areas of the San Fernando Valley they didn't want. But that being said, I'd like to see the split of the San Fernando Valley, but for the sake of argument, I will vote to advance this map for future consideration.
Any other comments? Call the question. This is a vote on a motion to advance map 19 for further consideration by the public. Ty, why don't you take roll, please?
Okay. Commissioners, please be prepared to unmute your mic and respond when your name is called. I will now take roll call. Commissioner Apollonia Morales.
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson Obregon.
Yes.
Commissioner Hyla Soto.
No.
Commissioner Saida Soto.
Yes.
Commissioner Brian Stetcher.
Yes.
Commissioner John Bento.
Yes.
Co-Chair Carolyn Williams.
No.
Commissioner Dorina Wong.
Yes.
Commissioner Jean Franklin.
No.
Commissioner David Holtzman.
Yes.
Commissioner Mary Kenny.
Yes.
Co-Chair Daniel Maeda.
Aye.
Commissioner Mark Mendoza.
No.
I believe that's 9 votes.
Motion passes. Any other motions tonight? Seeing none, congratulations. We have selected maps 12, 18, 19, and 23 to present to the public at public hearings. We will be I guess, publishing these as soon as possible. And that can then start the 30-day, or I'm sorry, the 7-day period before we can have our first public hearing. Once we have the first public hearing, we have 30 days within to conduct at least one other public hearing. I'm sure we'll have more than one other. But that is a big, big step by the commission to have gotten that far. As has been repeated ad nauseum, these are not necessarily the final maps, although they may well be one of them. But we have, I think, a very good base to go to the public and say, we have heard you, we have selected these for your consideration. We would like additional further input to refine them, to reject one or more or whatever, and so we can help gather the information that will help us when we make our final determination. Yes,
Okay.
let's, if there's other comments, Ty, if you can read those.
Okay, so we have Commissioner Stetcher, then Commissioner Saida Soto, Commissioner Bento, and Commissioner Wong.
Thank you. I have two questions. The first is how we're going to identify these maps when we present them to the public. My suggestion would be to remove the identifying information about the authors and call them A, B, C, D. But as far as I know, that's open to discussion. The other question is before, or as soon as possible, we need to make the incompatible maps compatible so that people can go to our site and look at all of them and study them all. And I don't want to lay blame on us for the RDUs we adopted or on MALDAF and the People's Bloc for not being sensitive to our system. It's been in place for a while. Let's just fix it.
So both are good points. I completely agree, and I doubt that there's going to be much controversy about this, but we should name these something. And these are now the commission's, enough support from the commission to advance them. So we should call them something other than the names of these people that submitted them. And I think ABCD is just as good as any other. It may turn out as we go through the process, we'll make refinements in A and it becomes A1, A2, etc. But so that's a convenient way, I think, to go about. So I suggest we do that. As far as the integration of maps 12 and 23, absolutely, we need to get that up and make it fully compatible with everything that we're doing, so the public can do that as well, can do the analysis as well. Ty,
Commissioner Saida Soto, then Commissioner Bento.
Thank you.
Thank you for your points, Commissioner Stetcher. I agree. For clarification for the public and from me and maybe other commissioners, moving forward, these maps will be available to the public to edit and make modifications. Is that correct? So therefore, will we have multiple variations of A, B, C, etc. To consider? If you can just offer some clarification on what our process looks like moving forward, please.
So Co-Chair Maeda, you are muted.
Sorry. I suppose it is possible for someone to take one of these four maps and make modifications by way of saying, you should change it. This is what we like better. But people are not required to do that. They can actually just tell us, hey, map A is great, except for you should have moved this city to a different district or whatever. So we are going to accept their comment in whatever form they want. If they would just want to tell us verbally, if they want to draw us something, or if they want to get into the software and do another version and present that, they can certainly do that as well. But they're not required to.
And then what is moving forward is the role of Esri or Preeti?
We can direct, just as an example, if we have a public hearing and someone says, you really need to move, or I suggest you move this one area from one district to another district. And the commission says to Preeti, please do that, make that happen. So we can see what it looks like. What are the numbers if that happens and so forth. So we can certainly continue to give direction to our consultants in that regard, as well as our Voting Rights Act voter polarization analysis consultants will want to weigh in, I'm sure, on these maps as well.
Commissioner
Does that
Bento,
answer your
then
question?
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Bento.
Yes, I agree exactly what you're talking about with the numbering, Commissioner Stetcher, or the name. I do have some clarification going back to a point that Commissioner Stetcher was saying, and maybe Gayla, maybe you can clarify this, I'm not sure. So we're going to take these four maps and we are going to integrate them into the website so that people can actually see the cities and the numbers. That's what because right now it's like we just kind of see these lines, and I know there's been some issues. So, but can we actually see like the CVAP numbers on there or whatever? Like, that's what I'm looking for clarity in terms of when we are studying these maps. So I don't know who can answer this question or clarify that.
I think Pretty should speak up because they have been working on importing both the People's Block and the Maldec map into the ESRI software. I think, for example, one of the issues with the People's Block is they wanted to split LAX from Dockweiler Beach, and they were using Dockweiler Beach to connect the Seacoast communities. And that was one reason why there were some challenges. Pretty, you want to give an update on that?
Is Pretty speaking? I don't know. Can you guys hear me?
It's 1 a.m. on the East Coast.
Oh, okay.
You're in the meeting,
Yeah.
but we can't hear you.
I am unmuted. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay. John, could you repeat your question one more time?
So, right now with the way we're looking at the maps, it's kind of hard to see the exact cities and some of the data, the CVAP information, and just that stuff. So, for the public and for us as commissioners, it'd be great to see these 4 maps that have the data that's important for us to look at. So the demographics, the CVAP information. Just all of that different stuff. So is that possible that with these 4 maps that we've selected, that can be done so it's visual for all of us?
I think that data is already available in the application. So in the application, you can actually see CVAP and if you would like, we could make some large e-size maps that you could just, without the application, you can just zoom in and have all the appropriate labels and stuff. We could do that. So let us know how you would like to see that information, and we can show you how you can see in the application as well as create maps if you would like.
Okay, maybe I'm not so clear on this, and maybe, I don't know, when Gayla was showing the maps, we couldn't really even when I'm looking at the maps right now, they're not
delving into the details. I was just giving you the overview.
Okay. All right.
May I also make a suggestion for you all to consider, and that is that we do invite the 4 map makers to the first meeting to, give them 10 minutes to give an overview of their maps, what they were thinking of for you and for the public. So just keep that in mind, because I think as you go forward into the public hearings, people will be submitting modifications of these maps. And when you look at what some of the other commissions who have done this, they have given some of the individuals and organizations who have submitted modifications then subsequent time, different groups, might be 4 minutes instead of the 1 minute to get an overview. We can make those decisions later, but I think the first one might be at your first public hearing, have each of these 4 groups have some time on your agenda to present their maps and talk about them and answer your questions.
I think that's a great idea. We can decide that though at the next meeting, which is next Wednesday, right? Because that's before the public hearing. And that should be, it's not a lot of time, but I think they probably are ready to make presentations. So Commissioner Stetcher, get ready.
That's right.
Commissioner Wong.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to, just for, at least for each of the commissioners, kind of what our next steps are. I mean, I'm assuming we're all going to continue to look at these maps, and I'm wondering, and I'm assuming we can actually modify it or edit it, or at least, get some help doing that from Pretty if we needed to. And then would we then be able to, I guess I'm trying to figure out how we're going to have discussion about how we're going to discuss changes to the maps, and whether we would submit different commissioners could submit different versions of the maps for discussion. And so that we're going to, I think Commissioner Soto mentioned that that might generate lots of different versions of the maps. I'm trying to figure out what the process is for us to move forward when we're trying to kind of modify the maps or,
Mr.
trying to
Wong?
come up.
Might I suggest it is 10 o'clock, 10:04. I think people are tired. We will have the meeting next Wednesday. And I think we could iron out those details then when you all are fresher. We thought we would use next Wednesday while the maps are being posted for 7 days to deal with those kind of logistical issues. So I think you're raising good questions for people to think about, but let's just sort of hold it. I think people are getting tired.
But if you do have ideas in terms of the process that you want to bring to our for consideration next Wednesday, that would be helpful. Commissioner Kenny.
Just a point of clarification that I didn't quite understand with Pretty. The two maps that are not available to zoom in on and look at city boundaries and streets and things like that will be available to us in Esri so that we can look at them the same way we can look at the other maps. Is that right, Pretty?
What I can do is I can provide a shape file that you could overlay and zoom in, and I can also provide an e-size map where the community and you commissioners can just view it outside the application, and we could put in the municipalities, the COIs, whatever you would like, and label them.
Priti, I think what they're asking for is to actually have you import that into Esri as close as possible with the RDUs. So there could be a working map that the commissioners and the public could use and do modifications. So we can talk about that separately.
And I can answer it right now if you would like. Yeah, we can import it. It's not going to be an exact match, but we can import it for sure.
Yeah, I think that's what they will need to have done. I just want to point out, both Co-Chair Williams and Maeda, we have one more agenda item, which should not take long. I'd like to suggest that we move on in the interest of a very exhausted commission who's made huge decisions, and we should celebrate by letting them get a night's sleep.
Let's do that. If it's okay to move on to the next agenda item. It hopefully will be a short one, 5C. This is something that we need to do every 30 days during this time to authorize the continued use of Zoom meetings or possible hybrid meetings in the next 30 days. I think just as we did for the other public hearings, we'll probably end up doing hybrid, once or twice perhaps, but we'll also continue to have Zoom hearings. So we'll give some opportunity to meet in person as well as through technology only. But we need to authorize ourselves to do that. So that's what this is about. Holly, did you have something you wanted to show us that we need to approve?
Holly, do you want me to open your document?
Yes, if you could just pull up just quickly the resolution. This is, as Co-Chair Maeda mentioned, we needed to consider this and approve it every 30 days to continue to allow remote and hybrid meetings. We still have the same health orders that were in place at the time we adopted this originally back in September 29. And so what we've got attached here is the draft resolution that, if you pause right there, reauthorizing the hybrid or fully teleconferenced meetings of the commission for a 30-day period. I can answer any questions. It recites here all of the findings from before. None of those orders have changed. For public health reasons, we're recommending you continue this. We do need to, I can answer any questions. We also need to allow for public comment before we take a vote.
But to clarify, this is the same as when we previously approved last month. We just need to approve it again for the next 30 days.
Essentially, there's some minor tweaks there just to comply with the law in terms of continuing it, but it's essentially the same.
Great. Clarification questions? Co-Chair Williams? You're muted.
I'm trying to take my hand down because I wanted to make a motion, but we do need to do public comment, etc. But that's why my hand was up.
Okay, let's take, is there any public comment, Ty, on this particular item?
I see no public comment for this specific agenda item. I do see a hand raised though.
Okay.
So I'm going to take over the screen. Okay, so I see Joseph Roth's hand up. Joseph, momentarily you'll be able to unmute yourself, and if you're comfortable, you may share your video. You will have 1 minute to make your public comment once you begin speaking.
Hi, since you're discussing process, I had a couple of process questions. I don't want to be a gadfly. It's just kind of unclear what's going on here. The next step is a public hearing on Wednesday. I believe that's when you're going to start taking public comments, but can you clarify that? Because when are these maps actually going to be labeled A, B, C, D, and in the new format for the public to then review and comment? And is the Zoom going to be limited to just 1 minute for us to comment on 4 different maps to give tweaks, since you opted more for the Cheesecake Factory menu rather than the In-N-Out menu? So we're gonna have to give tweaks on 4 different maps as suggestions and public comments in 1 minute. And how long do you expect that to go?
Procedural thing, this was not the agenda item up. And next Wednesday is not the public hearing. It's our meeting to plan on handling the public hearing.
Thank you for clarifying.
And the maps will be posted for 7 days, and it's our target to post them starting tomorrow.
Thank you, Gayla.
But this is not the time to make this public comment, just for future reference. Once we close public comment, it's done.
So there are
Public
no,
comment should be on this resolution that Holly presented.
so there are no other public comments on this agenda item. Co-chair, would you like to close public comment?
Yes, please. And is there any further need for further discussion? I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution that Holly has prepared for us.
I see Commissioner Vento's hand.
I motion to approve the resolution that Holly prepared for us.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Mendoza, second. So moved and seconded. Go ahead and call roll time.
Okay. Commissioners, please be prepared to unmute your mic and respond when your name is called. I will now take roll call. Commissioner Nelson Obregon.
Yes.
Commissioner Hyla Soto.
Yes.
Commissioner Saida Soto.
Yes.
Commissioner Brian Stetcher.
Yes.
Commissioner John Vento.
Yes.
Co-chair Carolyn Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Dorina Wong.
Yes.
Commissioner Jean Franklin.
Yes.
Commissioner David Holtzman.
Yes.
Commissioner Mary Kenny. Commissioner Kenny.
Yes.
Co-chair Maeda.
All right.
Commissioner Mendoza.
Move for approval.
And Commissioner Morales.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Final item, I believe, is the staff report. You're muted, Kayla.
I'm going to make this very quick because you all have done a lot of heavy lifting. So let me just quickly go to these other quick updates. We've launched the media campaign. This is an example of what just went out with our weekly ad. We are going out on radio in multiple languages and in different print ads. Again, you know the timeline. Bravo to you all for picking your maps, and we will be posting them for 7 days. We will have the meeting next Wednesday to plan the first public hearing. And then I wanted to mention that I've been doing a survey and I'll work with the co-chairs. It's likely the first public hearing could be either Friday, next Friday evening, or possibly Saturday or Sunday. So I'm finishing up the tallies with a couple more people who've added. We can cancel the tentative meeting that had been scheduled for tomorrow night. So you get your Friday night and Halloween weekend. So do go and enjoy. And I will be changing this to indicate that our November meetings could either be virtual or hybrid. And that is it, other than I'll line up the Spanish interpreters once we have the public hearing dates. And I wish you wish you all a good night.
And please let us know as soon as we know when the public hearing is. It's important, just so you all know, that we have the first public hearing because that starts our 30-day clock. And so that's why we need to try to get one in as early as we can by next weekend, I think. If there's nothing else for the good of the order, thank you very
Commissioner
much.
Stetcher's hand is up.
I was confused about the date. When you're tentatively looking at the first public hearing, the slide said the 29th, which is tomorrow. But
No. That was if you couldn't make a decision tonight.
So it's a week from
We're going to
tomorrow.
cancel that one. Okay. So the earliest you could do it is next Friday. I surveyed you all. I have dates for Friday that were possible, and then Sunday, and then Saturday was sort of a third choice. But now that we've accomplished this, I will nail the dates tomorrow. I'll coordinate with the co-chairs and we'll let you know.
Commissioner Bento?
And I just wanted to say I'm really bummed that we can't have a meeting tomorrow because I was really looking forward to wearing my Ghostbusters costume at the commissioner meeting. Thank you.
With that, we will stand adjourned. Thanks so much, everybody, for your hard work.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.